Welcome back to the North American Paladins Premier League. It's time for our second set of the day. The Tigers here with pretty hair, and it's going to be Team Envy and SPLYCE.
Yeah, we just got off that set, got toweled off here. I took my jacket off, getting hot. I mean, that was a very high bar to set on today. And what I was confused. I'm going to be honest. I really didn't know the way today was going to go. I thought there's a lot of things that could be sweeps, a lot of things that could be good games. But after that first set, I thought that first set was going to be a sweep. And while it still was, I think SK put up a great show. That gives me a lot of hope for their matchup again later today in their doubleheader. That could be a really good one here. But now SPLYCE versus Envy. Envy, top-tier team as well, just barely outside of G2 right there, just barely with that one loss. They are almost the undefeated North American team. SPLYCE is the winless team. You got to wonder how this one is going to go. And SPLYCE, being a team with nothing to lose, I think they come out absolutely swinging for the fences today and try and put on a good show.
It's so crazy how mirrored the regions have been in terms of, hey, these ones are going to go to 5, this is going to go to 5. And that's kind of what happened last week when the top seeds went against each other.
I guess we just seeded the league correctly.
Yeah, something like our admins are doing cool stuff or whatever. But this should be interesting to see Envy and in their kind of same momentum that they've been following. SPLYCE showed some potential last week, but still in the lost category. I want to see how they'll bounce back.
The reverse sweep, but Envious, like you said, barely with that one loss in the category. For all intents and purposes, they may as well be undefeated. The way I think they're going to come here to play today, a team of relatively new faces. This is I was thinking about this today on the drive to work. This is like the second generation of PPL players. You've got your old school guys. You've got your Birds, Bonkers, Lazies, Bugsies. You've got your G2. You've got your Wardoom, Cuss, Doe, all those guys that have been playing forever. But this is a team kind of like Na'Vi almost, where they have a batch of new blood that doesn't go back as far as this scene itself. And especially when you're looking at Rock Monkey, a guy that not even in Season 1 of PPL. He's basically the freshest of the fresh.
He's always been a really great player. You see him stream and get to see it there. And now in the PPL, shining just as strongly as he did in the PGS, whether he's on the Buck, the Kinessa, the Shaolin.
Those are some damn good shots right there. Zin, a big player, big champion for everyone. I mean, Evil Eye, he set the bar high as hell. You gotta be pulling 25+ killing blows a game if you want to be in the conversation with Evil Eye. So Rock Monkey's got some big shoes to fill when he's wielding the flaming sword today. Will he be having the chance to pick that up? I don't really know. We saw it get banned out. SK didn't really have much of a choice, though. Like I said, 25+ killing blow games for Evil Eye back-to-back. Rock Monkey, if it's let through, he will be the man piloting this for Envy.
A bit on the struggle bus last week with the Ying. That didn't really quite go his way. And I know that
I forgot about that.
He tweeted that he wants to improve, and that's the thing. He's a very competitive guy, and he likes being the one with the quadra kills and triples and pens and all that. So
I mean, say what you will about Ying, very aim-intensive champion. At least the way that Envious are probably going to run it. Rock Monkey will likely never be the sole support for this roster. When he is running it, it's going to be focusing lens, which is just literally hit your shots. That's all that talent is about. You get more damage, and Rock Monkey's a great guy for that job.
But really curious about what Envy is going to bring to the table this time. On the side of SPLYCE, as we said, they got reverse sweeped during the last week, which is it's right there, and then you feel it turn to sand and just go through your fingers. But with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the SPLYCE roster here in the PPL.
Could be a big trade here. Nice dome shield from Wardoom. Nice stun from Arai.
And like you said, it's a 90%. They can just continue to push this after they take down 2. They take down 3 with the shot in the air as Moonshopper coming in.
He's going for another reanimate coming online. Now it has to be perfect. William picks up another 2.
During the last week when Moonshopper was allowed to have the Mave, worked out really well for them when it was taken away.
That's a pick that's starting to creep up. G2 picked it up, looked damn good for Moonchopper to the point where it got banned out in that set. That ended up being a reverse sweep. So maybe we see that come back out today. Envy, will they be prepared to deal with it?
And this team is hungry. They want
it. They sure are.
Yeah, you said last week that you had spoken directly to Moonshopper, and he's really been
that's
wanting
a kid
to
that
improve.
wants to win. I mean, even having the chance to meet that guy when he was here for his first LAN last fall, it was great to meet. He's a great kid. He's very hungry. He wanted to kind of prove himself because he was that guy that had just recently been called up. At this point, he's starting to get some more experience under his belt, but he was so determined to kind of prove himself, for people to like him and enjoy him, and what a great addition to the scene overall. I've really liked what Moonchopper has brought into this roster, right? You have that Rovnik, that Zulu, who were kind of the foundation of that old SPLYCE roster, and they're gone. They're ghosts. Someone else had to step up and sort of be that man for SPLYCE, and Moonchopper, I think he accepted that role with open arms.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how things go down in the set. Envy and SPLYCE facing off here in the PPL, and after the way things went in the first set, who knows how things will go. And that's one of my favorite things about Paladins, where even if it is a 3-0, it doesn't always feel like a 3-0.
Yeah,
you can have that intensiveness.
That was set one. It didn't quite feel like a sweep. It will go down in the history books, the stat books, the map counter as 3-0, but SK definitely came to play. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that here. It's still, I'm feeling like it could be a 3-0 for Envious, but I'm hoping for a fight 3-0.
And we're going to Ascension Peak once more to kick off
I'm down.
this set.
I'm freaking down. I got to see more games on it. That one that we saw between SK and G2 definitely helped me form my opinion, right? Because we've casted the first couple of games of Ascension Peak in the PGS, and they were just meme fests and kind of goofy all around. But we saw longer capture points, and that's to be expected, right? You've got this bigger capture point. It's a square. I'm gonna use some candles here, some props. You've got this big square capture point. This flag might be a great way to do it. So it's square, right?
I don't know if Anthony's gonna be happy about you touching
pissed, but he's got,
candles.
you've got these statues here, and the front lines, and SK was doing this beautifully with their two front lines. They're playing really well around these statues to the point where we see this first round go, and it's like 6 minutes and 20 seconds on the game clock in round number 2. That tends to be a little bit longer, I think, of a round in total. Once a payload is captured outside of overtime, it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds across the board. So that's equalized. So when you're looking at what is on the game clock after a round or two, it comes down to how long has it been taken to capture, and were there any like super long overtimes that we saw.
Well, we have some of our first lock-ins here. Kinessa getting picked up early. And on the side of Envy, you have that Cassie and that Nando.
Yeah, so Kinessa comes through here for Ascension Peak. And now we haven't really seen a ton of sniper play here on this map. Haven't seen a ton of play on this map just yet. In our previous experience here, it was the double front line versus double front line for both G2 and SK. Envious and SPLYCE, I'd be looking to turn up the heat a little bit. There's so many front lines banned out in this game that I don't really think they have a choice but to run 3 DPS here, unless they want to take something like a Barrack, who is an interesting guy to actually bring up because of the cover that I just kind of explained about this point. He's always going to have those turrets up, which mean healing station, which mean little pockets of safe sustain for him. So, I don't know. Maybe we see that come through.
And on the side of Envy, you just have the one frontliner for now. You're leaving your last pick available to be in response. Barrack is actually picked up by SPLYCE. So, yeah, the potential to have those areas where he can retreat to if need be.
And what he struggles with is getting that set up, right? And because there's cover on the objective, it almost allows him to have that without really having to fight much for it. There's almost cover for him. And that's what's so unique about this map, is that no other point, and you can see almost in the capture point, there is a circle that is the size of every other capture point in Paladins, but the designers just expanded it out. They just made it bigger, and that's what allows it to kind of be a unique map. However, very low conversion rate, at least so far from what we've seen, except for that meme fest that we saw like 2 backdoors in, but hard to convert on, slower style of game here. SPLYCE with 2 frontliners, Envious with 1.
Different composition this time that we're seeing the map today in the PPL. We'll have to see if the game fares in the same way as before or separately. So, casters, what do you think?
What were you doing? Gosh darn it. Gore always making jokes and laughing. Rainy Goremizer here. We were on the desk. Now we're standing up. You know, our legs not as happy as we are because this is a great set. Envy and SPLYCE get to take it off. I'm really excited, first of all, to just see SPLYCE back at it for another week. They looked really good coming off of last week's unfortunate loss.
And when it comes down to it, they're going to a newer map, so things that are going to be able to keep it fresh, and pulling in a Kinessa, which we haven't gotten to see here a lot.
True.
So I'm kind of interested at their take on this.
So do you guys think like for SPLYCE, hearts for Envious, whoever's going to win? Go ahead and leave that in the Facebook chat, and we will obviously see that come on screen and give us a little bit of a idea of where you all are leaning in your thoughts. I'm curious as well to see the Kinessa. I know this is something that G2 banned out when they first went here or was banned out by SK. It was in that set. They were aware that the sniper could play a factor here. And normally when you look at the point fight, I don't think sniper. But when you look at the defense, and I think you look at maybe there are some cheeky areas, this could be a very potent map for someone with long-range damage.
And I think that's going to be the thing. Kind of similar to Frog Isle, I feel like it's going to be one of those areas where you're just finding new angles based on where these guys are playing. You're being able to see something and you're like, I never knew you could shoot from there. I never knew you could shoot from here. And I think that's going to be the idea behind the Knessa. We're going to see some angles that might not be the best. It's not going to completely cover the point, but you're going to be able to maybe get some good shots that forces them into areas they might not want to fight. Ideally, right into the lap of a Barrack, maybe an Inara, some of your damage. Just lock them down and kill them up.
The lap of a Barrack. Man, I don't know. Sounds like a deadly place to me. Small place as well. Got to make sure you can fit before you get in there. Maybe that's the deadly part, just squeezing in there. Not as easy as we would think. Ascension Peak, brand new map, and it's a brand new SPLYCE. Apparently, Team Envy still doing their same old thing, really trying to keep the momentum up after the loss in the best-of-5 set to G2 Esports last week. They have to win these games if they want a chance to make their next meeting matter. And, of course, it is going to be on the SPLYCE, who has kind of newly been awakened. Ricotta on that Knessa. Really going to be a story for us to see how that unfolds today.
This is either going to be an explosive clash, maybe an all-out brawl similar to what we started with,
okay,
or it might just be a little bit more of a patience game between these two teams. Envy definitely having a little bit of a leg up, but I like the flank, the control so far SPLYCE are going for.
And I like that spot that Ricotta's just picking at, just waiting, hoping to see someone come into his vision. They're holding it down. The one thing I wonder is they are losing that damage dealer on the point. If Envy take this side on the left-hand side in their perspective, or the right side from where Vayne is sitting, you are not going to see a lot of lines of sight for the Knessa to play through. 33% right now for Envy, but Ricotta, man, makes me eat my words and makes Tolkki eat a shot to the dome, sends him back to spectator with the first blood.
You only have to see him for a little bit, and then he can get aggressive, and I love this immediately. Okay, got to kill one of their main dealers off the board. Let's get in there and try to help him out. Make sure he does have that presence on the point. And as they flank around, you can see Rubu trying to do what we saw G2 doing, what we saw out of everyone really earlier. SK doing it as well. Dance around the statues, use them for cover, and see what it can get you.
Bit of tug-of-war between SPLYCE and Team Envy. Envy now backing off a little bit as they went forward, but Vayne back in control. Ricotta on the piloting of this long and dangerous weapon with Knessa. Lining him in your sights, never something that you want to feel safe or comfortable around. A good shield there from William355. Forced Rubu into a bad spot. He's in the corner, and there's Ricotta. He's got sight on him. Rubu has to stay in this edge. He's still contesting, and that's the interesting part about this point fight.
Ricotta taking out Tolkki is going to be big. Leon has not really been around for a lot of these fights because of Ricotta's presence, and you're seeing a lot of pressure get put onto Random Noob TV on this Cassie just because no one else can deal the damage. They have to have him step up.
And Arai doing so well on this Pip. The issue is that Ricotta, having found one kill onto Tolkki again and again, is not able to snowball that, unlike the way we're seeing Random Noob TV, or if Tolkki does find kills, snowball that in the mid-range fight. That's where this contest is taking. Ricotta's got to find more consistent angles, and there it is. Gets a little bit more aggressive, finds the kill on a Random Noob, but is this enough?
So far, 93% Envy holding onto it, but finally getting displaced. Rubu going down, main frontliner. You see a little bit of a breath. Just exhale. We got the point. We can hold it 90% and rising. We can stop them from getting in here.
Uh-oh. Nice shot there, Moonchopper. Shuts down Rock Monkey. And it's SPLYCE who take the first objective over Team Envy. We thought, hey, you know, is this something that's real? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. But the key that unlocks it all is SPLYCE's ability to take game one into their hands at the start. Ricotta's played so patient, and there it is right there. This man is just so effective. Finally gets shut down by Tolkki, but he has given SPLYCE some life here to start.
And showcasing that even aggressing with the Knessa can actually work out so far with them. It's one of those things you were kind of mentioning on the defense, definitely going to be very solid, but if you can use those same angles, reverse, being able to get them back towards Envy, lock them down, push that payload a little bit further forward, you might have a little bit more luck with it. Ricotta definitely being a big factor right now. And surprisingly enough, we haven't been seeing, I want to say, that much coming out of Rock Monkey, coming out of Random Noob TV, which is kind of hit or miss for Envy.
Well, I think it's, you know, the sniper not having one always makes you play towards it or around it, right? The SPLYCE are playing towards it. Team Envy playing around it, doing their best to provide an angle for support and objective fight, but also not really isolate themselves, which is hard. Leon, Cassie, they want to isolate themselves, roll around into the back, find picks, and really snowball a fight from 1 to 2 to 3 kills. Enlightenment here gets sounded off. Ricotta does find Rubu, and Ricotta finds Rock Monkey. Again, Knessa has proven not only stalwart, as we would have expected on the defensive side of things, but offensively is really getting going.
Envy definitely locked in their base. Ricotta finding angles, watching them as they leave to be able to kind of knock them off their mounts, get them a little bit lower, and set them up, and potentially for William 355 and the rest of the crew to kind of clean them through. This payload's walking ever so slightly forward, almost at its convergence, and a nice seismic crash to set it up.
And I gotta say, Arai, man, so on point here. Moonchopper finds a double, tries to get the third. Vayne gets dropped. Arai then has to slip because of the pressure that the Dread Serpent has applied. Mr. Hayes doing a good job of that. But Ricotta still on fire here. It forces Random Noob down. He's off the high ground, and that's where he wanted to defend from. Ricotta with a triple. Is it Splyce gonna take it? A quadra kill from Ricotta, and he's slicing them up like cheese. 2-0 Splyce over Envy.
Just coming in, shooting them down. I mean, like it's nothing. I think I might understand why that Knessa ban came through earlier. He is playing this pinpoint perfectly. I mean, he is hitting so many good shots, using these angles, even though they don't reveal much, finding them, and it's just...
Cousin?
That's so smooth.
Beautiful stuff from him. Smooth is a great way to describe it. Smooth like butter. Smooth like a little bit of mozzarella on a caprese sandwich. Ricotta continuing to dominate here, and you got to say, you cannot have a better start than this. And that worries me a little bit because SPLYCE, a team known kind of being behind in the league, in their games, playing from ahead now, a little bit of a different position for them. Let's see how well they adapt to it. Obviously, combat mechanic on the side of Envy, so they have to pay attention that if the fight goes the same way it did before, Envy would win. So they've got to be extra occupied on this objective.
Making sure never to let it leave their mind. And really having to approach this. I mean, Vayne, I think, has the hardest job of them all. Has to sit here and kind of take the damage. Everyone knows where he's going to be sitting. Rubu keeping an eye on them, and everyone's grouped up. One fireball, if he had the cooldown for it, could hit a lot. But seeing the way SPLYCE are trying to approach this fight.
Man, how much damage are we seeing today in North America with these fireballs? Scorch Fernando's just been so impactful. The grouping, the tendency of that when high-level competitive players get around is just making Fernando's output so good. And who other than Ricotta finding a good kill. But Rock Monkey shuts it down, jumps up onto the upper ledge, and now Rubu forcing the back and forced into the Immortal.
And that's exactly what they were missing before. The shot's going to be good. Moonchopper, though, finding a lot. Rubu's so low. But he gets out because he has that shield. Tolkien moving forward. The same thing with the rest of Envy. They envelop, grab the point, 93%. Even though William 355 is there, it's solid. The planted, not quite there.
They need this. They're hiding behind the corners. Tolkien and Random Noob TV are so low, but they get healed back up. There's no room for SPLYCE to actually fight off this objective. And now the Team Envy have a 6-man in that point. They have to fight and take an advantage somewhere else because the numbers are in their favor. Time is in their favor. Overtime as well, ticking down. And William 355 getting healed up by Arai, but not so much with the flank from Rock Monkey here applying pressure.
Going into the back, shots are good, but he has to fall back. Random Noob does go down there. Ricotta still finding these shots from the side. Any angle you can give him, he's going to be able to hit it, but does not find the kill off of that, and actually pushing him back slowly. They haven't eliminated everybody.
Moonchopper comes up so big in that game, and I cannot believe that he is still doing his thing. What a time to tag team in and make a big play. Ricotta goes down a little bit, has to back off, but here's Tolkien. He says, not quite yet, young man. He gets the Enlightenment. The Sign of Alzyko cannot, though, stop the siege of Ascension Peak from SPLYCE, who take the third objective, and maybe just take game 1 over Envy with a push here.
Looking like they might be able to clean up some kills right after that, but a little bit too late, almost. I mean, slips right out of their grasp. Not what I expected. I mean, Envy, the first 2 weeks, dominant force, almost untouchable. G2 takes them down once. And now we're seeing, I want to say, actually the rise of SPLYCE,
that's
not
what
really
I think.
The fall of Envy.
And that's the narrative, right? I mean, you can write this, if you're a publisher, you can write this in 2 ways. The fall of Envy or the rise of SPLYCE. And I think the stronger story and the more accurate story, the more Pulitzer story, is the rise of SPLYCE. These guys have actively made a change, and they've actively kind of come into their own with a roster with a ton of talent, 2 new PGS guys, you know, so many different, I think, play styles trying to mesh together. But one of the beautiful things about this is that they have made it work. They have started to show glimpses against the best teams in North America that they can make things happen. And Ricotta here with this Knessa showing that he is of a caliber of the PPL for sure.
And you know, last week when we were watching him, you see a big impact from Moonchopper, and you're like, okay, well, we expect that. We've gotten to know him. We've seen what he can do. That just seems par for the course. That's back to where he was. But now you're seeing where Ricotta fits in on this, the way the rest of the team steps up to this level. And Envy are having trouble leaving their base. They can't even fight the presence that is mainly this Kinessa, but the Shaolin, everything that is just pushing them back. A minute left, they're still so close.
Yeah.
And compared to what we saw earlier, this is looking like a clean one.
It's looking like a very clean one. And, you know, I got to say, Vayne playing this frontliner, this Inara is keeping the pace so well for this team. And William355 really adding a ton of damage when needed. If you take a look at the damage charts, he is probably doing pretty well today. Still at the middle of the pack, just falling below Buck, but again, you have a frontliner and a flanker kind of contributing the same amount of damage over the course of a game. That's strong for SPLYCE to have that type of asset.
30 seconds left, and Envy looking like they might have finally found some feet to stand on. Their legs were a little bit rubbery
Wobbly.
as they've been going through a lot of this workout, but they're finally stepping in. And Rock Monkey, there was one thing, like so much that they did right during that point fight to adapt to what Ricotta and SPLYCE were really doing.
Yeah.
And yet they still weren't able to hold on to it. So I'm wondering if even if they bring that to the next one, even if they get a defense here, will it make the difference?
Well, here's where you do really want this push. You want it in the game here. I mean, I think if you're SPLYCE, gosh, it does feel like it's worth it to invest what you have. Maybe a Dome Shield. I don't know. They're very low. Obviously, just losing Moonchopper there is not going to inspire confidence. And with Inara Seismic Crash not quite up, maybe they don't have enough resources to half commit, and they are getting things on the side of Envy. So that's the Enlightenment down, and they find Tolkien. Vayne's still alive here. Vayne gets a double kill. William355 falls to Random Noob, but how much work can Vayne do? Almost finds the triple, but it's not enough. And it's going to be Team Envy who hold this one and finally get themselves back in the game. William, how do you feel about this comeback mechanic on the side of Envy yet again?
I mean, it was one of those things, normally you hear that phrase, and it should kind of make you quake in your boots just a little bit because Envy has been such a dominant force lately, but you're seeing what SPLYCE can do. And the problem is that even when they had an answer for Ricotta, they invested so much to get rid of him. You see Rock Monkey go into the back, kill him off, and then immediately dies. Doesn't get anything more than that. Normally 1 for 1 sounds great, but they didn't do anything with the point. They weren't able to actually aggress any further.
Look at the KDA of Ricotta, 16-5. You see how dominant he's been. But look at the Havens. We just saw them before. Every single member on the side of Envy has invested into Haven 2 or more. That means that Ricotta is now doing less than 10% of the damage he was doing before. 14% now, actually, damage reduction across the board, so just less effective in general. Vayne taking a smart approach here. They know they have to fight around this rabbit god statue, whatever that is, as they continue to capture, not allowing any moment of respite on the objective for the comeback mechanic. Will bite them in the haunches. Ricotta smells this one. And Rock Monkey, he knows he sees him coming too.
Nice teleport. I like the mobility coming down. Trying to keep yourself at range. Goes for the headhunter. But Rock Monkey just reads it and says, okay, I'll just hide. You can't find my head. You can't find the kill. Everyone else still clashing on the point. Envy not able to touch down as much as they want. 19% picked up for them. 40 on the other side. As SPLYCE are really controlling.
And the problem is they don't have enough burst here. I mean, the Pip is bringing so much damage on the healer side. More than Moldava usually. Random Noob, though, has to step up, and he does. He finds William355. But Vayne, again, in a great spot. And even with the comeback mechanic on the side of Team Envy, SPLYCE are in the lead on the objective. But with a full wipe here, unless Moonchopper can find some big frag, or Ricotta can, it is going to look like Envy get the capture objective because of the zone.
I love the way seeing Rubu just throw out that flame.
Oh, good headshot.
Just make sure, hey, fireball's here. You can't poke every time without taking something in return. We have a little bit to contest you.
Got a touch.
But being able to clear him down 100%, Envy just go to the side. Because it's so big, they take control.
Williams right there. I don't understand why he doesn't just rocket boots on. Why not just tick the overtime in? I don't understand the decision. It's something maybe gone wrong in the miscommunication, but I would have at least tried for an overtime. I think they accept that, you know, comeback mechanic, that's a rough thing to play against. Team Envy have just a moment of winning a fight fully, and they make them pay. 3-2 now, Envy with a chance to push.
And this is going to be maybe a little bit more of a brawl overall. If they can find the push, similar to how SPLYCE was able to in round 1, and they're starting off in a good showing for it, they might be able to do, I love the turn fireball.
Yeah.
Make sure you can get everything you need. Now pushing forward, slowly but surely. 1 minute and 40 seconds, this is plenty of time, and now SPLYCE, I mean, they've been aggressing every single step. How do they play their defense?
How does their defense? And this is my conversation, right? You know, Team Envy, a good team. This round, you're not worried about losing. 3-2. They tie it up 3-3 if they push it all the way in. All right, but if you defend here, you invest all your resources. Next round, it's still going to be 3-2. And if they capture, it's going to be 3-3. And if they push, they win. They have the chance to win first if they capture on a point that's going to give them increased capture objectives. So, you know, my thought is try to defend. Definitely do your best. If things start to look shaky and you've got ultimates, let it go. Still do your best. Get some credits. Get your ults charged. But maybe just wait and say, let's play the 3-3 out. We feel we can beat them on an even footing, and let's not give them a chance to win.
As of right now, though, it's going to be going a little bit back and forth. Really low. Is Tolkien going to be able to find it? Ricotta, again, back to form, getting the kills from actually behind. He did go for the flank, not able to clean up Random Noob, but playing this very well and very, I want to say, adeptly from SPLYCE. They're very aware of the map and exactly the pathings they need to take to get where they want.
Adroitly. It's a great word. Playing it very adroitly. And I think that, you know, Kinessa here showing a lot of that finesse, a lot of that tact in her positioning, which is made for quite a beautiful watching experience. You might say she's dripping in finesse.
I was
it doesn't make any sense,
waiting
really.
for the moment to try and find where I could put that one in, but Blake beat me to it.
Wow. Well, you know, Blake oftentimes is faster than all of us here in production. Kind of leading the back. He knows all the references. Says it in our ear. Sometimes, pretty much everything that I'm saying is something that Blake has said to me just 10 seconds before. So I'm just repeating a script, getting fed. I am a robot.
Not playing like robots, or maybe playing like robots right now. Is SPLYCE hitting a lot of shots. Very, very adept in the way that they are taking the fights, being able to control this, but still moving forward, trying to keep the overtime. Envy holding on to this as best they can. Like you said, this is actually a moment where SPLYCE might want to let it through just to have the even ground. Envy obviously want to be closer, but with that kill,
I mean, and the same thing, if you're on the reverse side, let's talk about Envy. You say, all right, guys, next round, we lose, okay? If we don't capture next round, no matter what, we lose. So would we rather tie it up 3-3 and have no advantage, or would we rather have it 3-2, have a capture rate advantage, capture faster, have to do less and get more, have all our ultimates, and then once we capture, have a chance to push and end the game? I think that sounds better to me, because the real thing we're fighting for is the objective, and if we get any advantage over this team who's doing really well right now, I think we're looking a little better to win.
I have to give shout-outs to two things here. First off, Moonchopper with 999. That's just a really nice slash line. But Mr. Hayes is on a 20 streak. As long as he can come through with this, I mean, he is not dying. He's keeping everyone alive. And I think that might have been part of the success overall for what Envy had with capturing that point. As long as he doesn't die, they can still push forward.
Let me tell you what. If he dies, you better hop into that bonker jacuzzi from yesterday, because if he does, he's going to give somebody pretty much a full ultimate on the side of SPLYCE. Toki finds William 355, forces the Immortal out of Rubu there, and an Evil Mojo from Arai can't quite find the kill. Fireball, Moonchopper misses, collision into those stairs, but it looks like Toki able to find more than his weight in gold on this Ascension Peak map. In fact, Ricotta falls to the ground. 22 streak from Mr. Hayes and a full wipe from Envy, and looking like a full zone.
I think that was a disengaged shot from Random Noob TV, again, to get rid of the Anar on the other side. Just making sure, I mean, you can play to the edge of the map. You can play with that knockback a little bit.
Boy, oh boy.
And Envy, 89%. Yeah, this looks clean. Captured 3-3. If they get this push, they will have turned it all around from 3-0.
I mean, you make one mistake on a comeback mechanic, and you don't get the point. And you know, in a 3-3, there is a chance to come back there. Vayne is almost to the point. He just has to run. In a 3-3 tied game, you have a chance to come back. You can fight again. And that is the most important reason. In, you know, competitive play, where it's so punishing, this makes it even more punishing. And now Team Envy have a chance to win. SPLYCE can't do anything except defend their best. And they're going to have to invest ultimates if things get wary. And then heading into next round, if they invest their ultimates into defend, Team Envy are like, great, well, we might be able to keep ours and still have an advantage next round, ultimate economy-wise.
Especially having something like Enlightenment on your side, where it's just like, okay, if we use that one to get a kill, to get ourselves maybe aggressive, or at least in return, as long as you get 50% back, you're feeling completely fine with it. 3-3 coming around the last little bit, but this has probably been the biggest choke point, the biggest point where this payload stops moving. Can Envy finally break through?
And that's the real kind of conversation here, right? You see so much happening. Great shots there from Moonchopper. And this is a good spot for him to defend. Dropping down. And knows that they've got the man advantage, looking to push a minute and 17 left. You see the net worth there. It's already started to shift towards the way of Team Envy. They've now captured, I believe, 3 objectives over SPLYCE's 1. And, you know, the ability for SPLYCE to kind of have this kind of scenario where Team Envy, although seemingly behind, are actually in the lead very much economy-wise and in a position to win-wise. It's very dangerous to understand what kind of situation you're in, because right now, Envy could be winning this game. This play right here might have just won Envy the game.
Respawn timer is definitely going to be helping them out. William355 doing the best
Force
he
the
can
dome
to stop
shield.
it, but they're making sure anything that comes out of it is going to be an ult. Nothing less is Envy going to back up for. 30 seconds left on the clock. They still have plenty of time.
And that's what I'm saying. Envy in the driver's seat. You feel like they're behind, but they're like, oh, great, dome shield. Cool. That won't be up next round. Even if we don't push, that's not up next round. I'm looking good. Moonchopper has to find Rock Monkey here. He's just baiting, finding his time. Maybe they can get a seismic crash out of this. Maybe they get an evil mojo. Things are looking good. William355, though, shutting down Rubu. That will probably push them all the way back. That was a very important kill. And if they can just find the frontliner again and again, this is going to lead to a lot more success. They use the dome shield only. And I do feel like that's going to be the end of this round. They're going to take it to an even fight and see whose might comes through.
This map definitely lending itself. I mean, it was mentioned during the first set, but a lot of players have been saying that this has been a very difficult one to find a push on. It is very hard to get that next step to be able to convert that payload and find yourself up 2-0. So the way things are going, not surprised. I guess it comes down to 3-3, 20 minutes in. And there's been a lot, 136,000 damage. Rakata was
He's been phenomenal.
Big talk of the town at the beginning, and I feel like his impact has slightly lessened, but that's a lot because of those Havens coming out. Most of them tier 3, except for the one on Rock Monkey. So Envy definitely having to play against him more than anything.
Mr. Hayes, 0-2 and 27. My God. And you got to remember, keep an eye on that 26 streak. That may come into play here. Rakata going very aggressive, expecting the Rock Monkey flank and just hiding around the corner, although he gets tagged by a fireball from Rubu. Vayne trying to hunt down the solo frontliner on the side of Team Envy, and Random Noob knows it, so he's trying to burst down Vayne, but gets stunned. William355 finds the kill. Both frontliners on the side of SPLYCE are alive, but they lose the healer, and they also lose Kanessa and Shaolin.
Mr. Hayes still alive, dancing, keeping everyone topped off, but on the point, and has the Dread Serpent, just in case things get hairy for him. 28 streak picked up now. You're seeing the impact, I want to say, of his life on Rubu, and everyone who moves a little bit forward, gets healed up, stays topped off, and they're not worried. SPLYCE coming in for the second fight.
Look at this. This is the example of an even fight right here. No comeback advantage. Team Envy win full white, but there's still another go at the point, and that's the difference. Can SPLYCE do this? Take advantage of it. It doesn't look like it right now. Toki almost finds it, but Rubu gets a triple. Rock Monkey finds one. A full team wipe. Comeback mechanic or not, you're not winning us this game around. Team Envy grab the victory, and they do a little showboating on the point.
I think the most appropriate one, Mr. Hayes does the bow overall, which is just,
Thank you,
again,
my good sir.
thank you for the game. It was
Thank you for
really
the
close.
attempt of
You
the game.
started out really well, but by the way, we're Envy.
By the way, we're Envy. And I mean, Maldamba there, he does have that streak. He's playing with fire, but it unfortunately just ends up being a nice little campfire. They roast some marshmallows. It doesn't burn the house down, and that's a beautiful thing. A 30 streak for them. And now let's send it back to the desk and see exactly what they think about Game 1, SPLYCE versus Envy.
Seeing a bit of a trend on Ascension Peak with the 4-3s. Yeah, it was
21-minute game. That's got to be, if not the longest PPL game we've ever seen.
They pushed it all the way. I mean, SPLYCE starting off getting the first 3 points, and then from there on the struggle bus a bit. Envy got their ish together and thought, wait, no.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the SPLYCE composition, it makes sense that it falls off slightly. Double frontliner will fall off a little bit into the later game with COTS and Wreckers and things like that, as well as a ton of Haven coming through. Basically, everyone on SPLYCE as that direct damage except for Pip. The DPS not quite as hitting hard as it used to, but I mean, those things kind of go back the way of both teams as well. Overall, just an absolutely incredible game. A long, long slugfest.
You got to give it to both sides. You have SPLYCE with the Ricata Quadra at one point.
The Ricotta Quad was like the only thing that made a push happen, made a conversion happen here. Big stacking again. And Rubu mid-fight. Oh, doing him dirty. He knows it's over. Triple kill. Triple kill, throwing the towel. You know, get him out of here. Get him back to their corner. Toki had a great little sequence there. Random Noob still finding frags. And Noob has looked really great, I think, moving off of those blasters. No bomb king for him. No Drogos in a long time. Rubu 12 and 9. I think 8 people, I can confidently say 8 people over 100,000 damage in that 21-minute game. Everyone except for the healers over 6 digits.
Everyone from the top all the way down to Nara making their way through it.
She just barely crossed the finish line. She was like 95,000 damage going into the last round.
Oh, right. Let me get there. Just
She's
threw
there.
a wall over the line, so I'm there, basically. But everyone showing out, and everybody's also been having to push the limits as far as getting out of those comfort zones, whether it's random noob having to get off the blasters. You saw Tolkien on the Leon, which we're not really as used to. And that's kind of been the test of who can be taken in a different direction as usual and still look like they're in that same comfort within the PPL.
So we've seen some double front line. We've seen some single front line. It's hard to say still what's the most successful thing on Ascension Peak. But so far, I'm very happy with the games we've gotten out of it. Really, really awesome stuff from that map. 2 healers out of the gate. Banned out, no Pip, no Genos available. How deep will this go? A lot of front lines, 3 banned out in the first game. Envious and SPLYCE taking 2 supports off the board here and 2 front lines as well. So Maldamba could be very, very highly sought after in this game.
It's also so tough when you get the first 3 points of a game and then lose it out after that. So
It's,
SPLYCE right
you know,
now.
It's what happened to SPLYCE. Kind of like the
Yeah,
theme of their set last weekend.
They just have it right there, and then it slips through their fingers, and I'm sure they want to turn that around a little bit here. Envy took game number 1, but maybe if SPLYCE brings through things like we saw, I think it was the Mave on this map. I can't remember if this was the map where they still had the Mave or if it was banned at this point, but they have different compositions that can really put them all within this synergy level.
I wonder if Envy go for Maldamba here. Maldamba Nara tends to be a pretty damn popular combination. Envy just had a great game with it as well. 0-2 and 27, I believe, was the slash line of Mr. Hayes the last time we checked in with him. 26 streak. Incredible stuff. So he'll be back piloting Wakono's Chosen, and I guess probably Toki back on Leon. Envious, we'll see if they want to stick for this triple DPS composition. But there are a lot of front lines open today, and you picked up a ton of tournaments. It's funny to watch just the ebbs and flows of both regions moving through the PPL. Grover for, am I tripping, the first time of Season 2, SPLYCE.
I think so.
Pick up the Wild Man.
Wow, that's the first. And there's reasons that Grover has kind of fallen out of the limelight a little bit.
Blessed.
But because of the lines of sight on here and
Yeah.
everything, that SPLYCE potentially sees an opportunity.
And will it be the solo heal Grover? That's the question here for SPLYCE. With Pip not on the table anymore, maybe they go for a Grok. Saris could potentially be what they end up going for. Buck will be picked up by Envy. They've got their makings of their 3 DPS compositions, and talking about Medicinal Excellence 5 and the recent changes to Pip, Grover also kind of got that treatment where he doesn't need line of sight on his targets to heal them anymore.
Yeah, that's going to help them a bit. Eevee rounding it out for Envy. Seems like they're still going for the triple DPS. So Grover having his own ebbs and flows. We talk about these champions. They have their moments to shine. And Grover's looking to come back into it. Torvald, the last one locked in for SPLYCE.
You know, this is what you want to see from SPLYCE. So they've got nothing to lose, literally no wins. I mean, experiment, figure out, find something new. You know, I'm loving this composition from them. I've got the black and yellow going on right now. I want SPLYCE. I think they're taking this game.
You're sending them those good
giving them my
vibes.
energy, right?
Time to send our vibes over to the casters.
So I've been in the streets. I've also, in the trees, I guess, in this Grover conversation. I've been queuing against a guy named Q Royal. 8 times in a row. I wake up, I queue against him. I go to sleep, I queue against him. I'm up in the morning, I'm up at night, I'm up in the afternoon. Come on, get a quick game. I'm at the office, I'm queuing against him. I said, why? Because he's a Efflorescence Grover main. And that stuff is hard to play against. I think SPLYCE are going with the new changes to Grover's beautiful Blossom and the Efflorescence comboing off of that. They're going to take the medicinal healing card, the medicinal excellence card, and increase the radius by 50%, meaning you're going to get twice the size of Blossom as far as the beautiful, beautiful radius of that thing. And it is just phenomenally hard to play against early game. Now, this does fall off late game. It does fall off late game. And if you take a look at it, Verdant Expanse, there it is. Reduce the cooldown of Blossom, increase the radiance of it by 50%. Comboing with Efflorescence already increases it by 50%. It is a wild, wild beast. And Arai has, either been queuing with that guy, training on himself, or, watching some videos of mine, because I have been complaining about this all the time. Let's see if he can put it to good use. And on this map, trying to keep his teammates alive.
A living pip potion. with a lot of damage as well when it comes down to it, so he's going to be able to get some control. A lot of aggression really early on here. William 355 on the side. And they're going to be able to get first blood onto Arai. The healer's gone.
And that is a big problem there. He gets all into the thick of things, like a tree with some branches likes to do. The problem is, you can't sustain the burst. Rubu, Rock Monkey, they know exactly what they're looking for. All of that Grover stuff is great, but you talk about the champions on the side of Team Envy. You look at, Brand giving 75% anti-heal. It is going to shut a lot of that down unless Arai plays well and far away.
And looking towards Leon, potentially running the death and taxes, just keeping the anti-heal rolling for him. If you have one Grover trying to do his best, making sure everything's where it is, but he's just not quite able to hit as hard, then it doesn't really make the difference. Would it work in other compositions? It's going to be the question Splyce have to ask. If they can make it work here, they'd be a lot happier than having to test it anywhere else.
They got that one fight where everyone is in this, kind of canopy, and they all faced up against each other. But at this point, Rock Monkey going down, taking down Arai yet again. Really good target prioritization from him, but Moonchopper returns the favor onto Random Noob. Vayne on the point. It's starting to look a bit more even as far as the brawl style between Splyce and Envy here.
Being able to go around so far. Eevee kind of hit or miss with the way things have gone. Mr. Hayes is going to be showing up, though, to make sure that his team is, in fact, fragging out the way they're going. Going to be able to come in 78% on the point, and they're going to take it back from Splyce, who got it to 60. Try to remain control.
And you have to say that this is really not about, Envy's damage dealer. It's a battle of the healers right now. With Splyce having only Arai on this Grover, albeit how strong Efflorescence is early game, Team Envy are so much more coordinated as to the importance of taking that support down. We do not see Splyce go for Mr. Hayes. When they do, it's a half-given effort, and he ends up surviving and is again on a streak. They have to find a way to deal with Mr. Hayes, otherwise Envy are going to steamroll them and win this battle.
And so far, we're seeing a lot of damage right there. Moonchopper showing exactly what he can do, and this is one of the maps where last week he forced out a ban on Maeve because of his performance. I believe it was starting with Stone Keep, but just being able to kind of continue that role, but showing prowess on multiple flanks. The damage is really solid, the lineup's really good, and if they get things rolling the way they want, the way they need it to for this composition, Splyce could be unstoppable, but Envy are just picking them apart.
It's a really interesting thing as well because Random Noob, we haven't talked too much about him and Rock Monkey. There's a lot of damage coming from the Eevee here in this fight, and it seems like that's where a lot of the preoccupations are coming from. Arai having a hard time running away from the mobility of Eevee and Buck and the damage between both those sources.
Shots on the side, does have the Ice Storm. I'm interested to see where he goes. Eevee's been very prevalent in Europe and kind of hit or miss so far in North America, and I still feel like Random Noob is kind of showcasing where the miss part is. It's sometimes there, sometimes not right there. Moonchopper taking him down.
Ooh.
Rock Monkey getting aggressive but forced away. Splyce are being able to handle these two flanks like they're nothing.
Not a great Buck Wild there, but you know what? He backs off, and so you do salvage something off of it. At least you stay alive. Rubu again running this kind of solo front line for Team Envy, and this has been a really good job from him, treading the line with damage, with defense, like we see the best of Fernando's do. He's definitely put himself in that category for me. Random Noob continuing to flank. 45 seconds left. Random Noob might just try to backdoor this. Ricotta sniffs him out though. Says, I see what you're doing, buddy. I'm not getting Twitter clipped here.
Depending on how this goes though, does Ricotta know he's still hanging around? He's gonna go for the stairs. Okay, now they spot him out. It was one of those moments, Random Noob, you could see waiting. Maybe I can still do this. Maybe I can still try to backdoor it. I'm not gonna be able to slip through that easy. Now all of Splyce has moved back, but they recognize what Envy are trying to do. And it's up to Random Noob to try and make a different kind of play to make sure this works.
And this time right here that Moonchopper's looking at Random Noob, that's the time that Rock Monkey's figuring out, how do I get to Arai, right? And Random Noob's thinking, how do I get to Arai? How do I get to this back line? And that's the big difference that I've seen. Moonchopper maybe, and that's what Eevee does, right? Makes you pay attention to her. So the lineup is working very well for Envy and just distracting with these triple DPS. Arai getting melted down thanks to any pressure Rubu applies with the Brand 5. And Moonchopper, though, coming to the rescue, finally getting Mr. Hayes and Random Noob.
Being able to get aggressive, William 355 does fall down. Rubu gets it, but Moonchopper's still getting aggressive, still turning corners. One more hit, another double. Maybe looking to make it a triple.
Make it a
Rock Monkey going down. Arai steals it, but it's all on the back of Moonchopper's damage.
Let's take a look at the healing charts here and see how everybody's keeping up. Wow. Grover beating out Maldamba. I'm telling you, man, this thing is ridiculous. And look at the KDAs. Arai has died 4 times. I mean, that's at least a minute. You know, you got to think before getting back into the fight. 10 seconds there, 5 seconds travel time each time, 15 seconds each extra death. So you're looking at 45 seconds that he's out of the fight, that Mr. Hayes isn't. And he's still beating him in healing.
Healing in a really big circle through walls, being able to kind of touch
Through walls
people.
is one of the biggest ones,
That is
yeah.
probably the biggest point where it comes through. I mean, we've seen it with Pip, G2
Yeah.
specifically, I believe, being able to kind of take advantage of that. Doesn't matter if you miss it, it can go through walls, and it has a pretty big radius. The same thing really applies here. Wherever Arai is standing, he can honestly stand maybe in a corner right up here, right there,
Yeah.
if he wants to, out of danger, and then just pop his heal.
Oh, that's a good seismic crash attempt. And here's the whirlwind as well. CC immunity. Anything that they're trying to do to get back on that side is going to get healed up for now. Good plays as well. Rock Monkey and Random Noob combined to find Ricotta. Random Noob yet again finds Arai. That spite's like a tickle on his tummy. Buck's like, did something touch me? Not sure.
The polarization between Yomi and Spite really showing right there, where
Yomi
he just
guillotine,
kind of
yeah.
come through. Tulky going to be able to come through, and it's just, with the way things go, Yomi hits so hard. Spite without guillotine,
Yeah.
nothing.
I mean, you know what? Team Envy, you got to really give it to him, man. They're all three DPSs are playing excellent. Tulky's switching off. He was a frontliner before this for Envy, and now he's playing DPS, keeping up with the best of them. SPLYCE have some great champions on their backside. Problem is they're not really getting a lot of use of them. This early point fight up in the Cathedral, I just say, guys, let's go back to the drawing board. We have team wiped every single time on that one, and we have had a much better fight when we try to brawl it out. And here's a hyper beam from Torvald, looking to keep Vayne alive, and he's just barely a bubble from Torvald. Will this buy him enough time to keep the Inara safe and healthy?
Going to be able to keep going. Tulky trying to find some kills. Going to be able to find two. Looking for a third right now. William 355 shut down with the shot. And the presence both from Leanne and from Envy going to be able to kind of take over, absorb that point, and create another payload.
Oh, he's trying to get top play. You can tell he's trying to get top play there. That spray increases your odds of getting top play when you spray after like a double or triple kill. I'm pretty sure that's true.
I've actually seen the code. It actually says
I
if
think that's true. Yeah.
spray after
Or emote.
multi-kill.
No, I'm actually serious. I'm not kidding. I think that's part of the algorithm. I think it will give it to a double kill with a sprayer emote after then a double kill. So they're looking for it. And Rubu on a 6 streak here. Shield up. And actually, Arai getting taken down. Rock Monkey just absolutely merciless. Random Noob as well. This duo and then Tulky on the side with a little bit of damage garnish is just serving a dish that is inedible for SPLYCE, but very, very scrumptious for Team Envy.
That feels like that entire last defense SPLYCE had was Envy learning.
Oh
That was
my.
them studying you, saying this is how they're building their defense. This is where they want to go with it. So now that we're going into a new round, this is how we take care of it. Go into the back, kill them off like it's nothing. That payload's moved much further. And with the way they're zoning it out, Vayne, even with that shield alive, is it going to be enough? The shots are solid.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Envy have this game under control. You can see there is no, transition into the mid-late game for this all-in healing Grover. It's very difficult for him, but early game he's so strong. It's just that their commitment to that upper Cathedral fight early game just was disastrous. And Arai has taken too many L's for now. Cauterize 3's on the board.
Yeah.
It's like everything that you had going is really going to be tough to keep up. If we look at the healing, I don't know if we did just see that as we take a look at these replays.
Clean shots, I think is what Tulky would like to hear about that.
Oh, he's
Just
running
very,
heraldry.
very presence. And with the way things are going for him, it's been very potent. Brand, 2 caught 3s, being able to help shut down what Arai has been going. And like you had said, SPLYCE probably need to rethink how they approach this beginning fight.
And one thing here you see, as you can see, Maldamba taking the lead now over Arise. And that's just the difference between late game and early game Grover in this build. Heraldry also getting taken. That's why he got 2 presences awesome. Every time he hits somebody, he reduces the cooldown by 6 seconds. But hold that thought, Moonchopper and SPLYCE, they know what it's like to play against the comeback mechanic. Now they know what it's like to play with it. Moonchopper has a feast ahead of him, and the main menu is Sneck.
Being able to find it all like it's nothing. Swings through. Where's Random Noob TV going? He's trying to run away. But Guillotine, not Guillotine. How about Zen? Just regular Zen. Yomi's Zen. Going to be able to chase you down, coming around the side. Shots are solid. Random Noob TV is in this really awkward spot where he just can't get in. He can't fight. The rest of his team's nowhere near. And that comeback mechanic making it perfectly useful for SPLYCE.
I mean, and SPLYCE are returning a little bit of their own medicine to Envy and saying, guys, you know, we were up 3-0 last game. Do you remember that? And then all of a sudden you came back and beat us. Random Noob and the rest of Team Envy can adjust to, I guess, the adjustment that SPLYCE made on the initial point fight. It's much better from them, and I like that they're just not all team wiping. That's the real difference we're seeing. It's just not an immediate team wipe.
As long as SPLYCE can find their way back in here, and they did approach that fight differently as well.
Yeah.
So they're recognizing what's going wrong, and they're figuring it out. They're adapting to it. The question is whether or not they know where they need to go with the push. It's very difficult. You have to have one member locked down, Random Noob TV, and a lot of the other members, specifically Tulky, going to be able to kind of eat that up with straight damage. And they're just sitting on the side trying to make sure this payload doesn't move too far.
1 minute, 44 seconds here. Ricotta gets blown up by Rubu. He's been fantastic for me today. William355 fighting against Rubu in a corner. Former teammates on Team Purity. In fact, William355, one of the other ones who came up from the PGS from Team Purity with Rock Monkey and Rubu making their way to Envy. William maybe wanted to add a little bit of his name to the conversation and say, hey, I'm here, and I deserve to be here as well. SPLYCE definitely taking a turn for the better, but so far still Team Envy getting the better end of the stick.
Rubu finding himself on a 15 streak right now. Just control from this Fernando, being able to push back SPLYCE kind of in fields every time he finds himself against 3, but he just continues to shove them back personally. A little bit of help on the side from the rest of his team, but this payload is still sitting right on the capture point, not moved, and that is exactly what Envy want. A minute left, and it is very difficult to find anything without Vayne.
We are seeing a Monstars performance, and I'm talking Space Jam Monstars performance, before Michael Jordan teamed up with Bugs Bunny, when they was just getting wiped on the floor the first time he thought those guys couldn't play basketball from Tolkien. We have not seen this, and we didn't see it too much yesterday, and earlier in the set, by the way, not yesterday. And Ricotta, he had that kind of lights out performance early on. He's been very quiet on the Cassie today.
Yeah, so far nothing excelling out of him. Nothing, or at least right now in this game, the way it was on the beginning with that Kinessa, it makes a big difference. And just being able to switch it up, not having that range, not having the special shots, maybe Michael Jordan's special stuff, the things they had at halftime to get them going.
You mean water?
Look, we don't need to talk about that part. It was just water, and it was all in you the entire time. You had the ability.
Aww.
And that's exactly what Ricotta needs to kind of recognize. Snap into it.
Yeah.
Start hitting those Cassie shots.
You take a little bit of Gormizer's special stuff.
That's not calling.
And you might just be feeling extra good heading into this one. Ricotta, see, missing that shot, missing some of the burst, not really having the identity. If you could get a kill here, that'd be amazing, but that's what they're missing. Random Noob, Rock, Tolkien stepping it way up. Moonchopper still having an incredible KDA. He's definitely holding his own. And you can see that right there in the duel, but Random Noob continuing to get the better of Ricotta. He's just not having a good time.
14-6-1 right now. Actually, a really good setup right there. If he had been able to get that last third hit off, could have flown through a few, but take a couple too many steps away. SPLYCE aren't able to hold the overtime, fall back. Still have a comeback mechanic, though. Very similar to what we saw in the last game where Envy was able to take control. And again, this is another set where it's feeling, this is still only game 2. We haven't really progressed far in the set.
We really haven't. We really haven't. I don't personally remember the bans on this game. I can't tell if Kinessa restrictions banned, but you know what? Kinessa, we've seen her play quite a bit here. And if she was banned, then this doesn't matter at all. But, Ricotta getting back onto a comfort pick might be ideal. I mean, if you can't play Cassie in this meta, or you're going to have bad games when you pick a Cassie, you're going to go 4-9. You probably need to be on something else here. I could have seen the Talus working fine, really helping to melt down the shields and that big only one tank. Maeve works well here with her mobility. Just something to compete, something to be not as easy of a target for a Random Noob if you're not going to trade as much. That's a Dread Serpent. Good build there by Moonchopper. Rock Monkey is hunting him down. Moonchopper taking the angles. Tolkien spots him out. Good counter, but it's just going to delay the inevitable as they find the kill.
Envy looking for control right here. They could end it all as long as SPLYCE doesn't have anything to say about it, and have health on the side right there. Good kills could come down. William,
oh, good silence.
Kind of leading the way. Stops Random Noob from being able to go back with no follow-up.
No one's there. No one is there to finish it off. Rock Monkey finds Ricotta yet again, and you got to say, same old story. This is not going to work out like the fairy tales you would hope for. Reducing the cooldown there by a few seconds for the presence. Going to find Moonchopper here once more. It seems like Team Envy have definitely found an answer in this fight, but they're still going to have to defend a little bit. Vayne alive and well. 50% still on the objective and counting.
Last game we got to see it because it was 3-3, but here it still applies for Envy. SPLYCE get one more fight. One more chance to be able to come in and try to displace what Envy have. And they're kind of scattered out. You might be able to find a pick 1 or 2. Mr. Hayes all alone. Moonchopper going into the back. He needs this kill more than anything.
This has to happen. Oh, he misses the third shot. That was it. That was his chance. Misses the window. Hayes still alive. They've all fallen back. And you got to say, comeback mechanic, he did his job. That was the right route. Just couldn't execute onto it. They know how important this solo healer is when they've only got a solo front line. That wall and this Warriors field a nuisance. But those are all the cooldowns, but yet that's all the front line. And now Mr. Hayes and Tolkien both low in a corner. SPLYCE just may be able to turn this around with a spike from Moonchopper taking down Rock Monkey, and he's looking to find a few more.
Random noob going down right there. Tolkien too low to be able to get in here. Finally trying to dash
They did
around,
it.
but a couple of shots. Ricotta finally stepping up, get a couple kills. SPLYCE grab it. They could end the game if they push this and at least make it go to a game number 4, potentially being able to close themselves out. Very happy with that play. All on the back of Moonchopper. If he pulls Mr. Hayes back there, that was exactly what they needed.
I mean, incredible stuff. You know, it's 2 objective captures in a row. And, you know, the fact that Moonchopper forces Mr. Hayes and the whole team to collapse on him really gives some breathing room for the rest of SPLYCE. He gets 3 members there and doesn't die. And that's what's so good about Zen. Most flankers, when they full commit like that, force all that health, they've used all their kit. They have to die. But that's why Zen's so good in this meta. So good as a character in high-level play, because he can just get out of it and really force conversations elsewhere for your team. Nice stun! Oh, he's going to get Rubu right before he exits the door! And that could have been the clincher right there. The payload hasn't stopped moving. Still 85% of the way, and they found the front line.
The shield coming through. Vayne staying alive right there. He's going to
Hyper
be able
beam.
to come through. Hyper Beam can just create so much space. This might be SPLYCE able to convert it. They just have to figure out the angle. Arai, William both going down. It's causing a lot of trouble.
What a Dread Serpent Ice Storm combo there. Mr. Hayes comes in with the plays and maybe saves the days for Team Envy here as SPLYCE leave dazed and confused, figuring out how that just turned out from like we were going to win to we all died.
Very small switch when it came down to it. I mean, a huge flop, I guess, overall from about to win to no longer even there, but being able to show that Envy just had to flick it off. Once they have that, they have their presence back, but there's still a minute left. SPLYCE are going to be able to make it back. Can they push
No
it?
ultimates.
This might be the time to do it.
That's the other big talking point, Gore. I mean, no ultimates now on the side of Team Envy. So
They
when they
use them all?
defend, they can't do anything on the defense here. And SPLYCE, they have them all. They can full commit if they want. And they'd be basically kind of even heading into the next round with the amount of time they have to capture. That's a big one. The Whirl, it actually shuts it off. They're committing the Hyper Beam. Does it knock Tolkien off? It does. William355 finds a clutch kill to start this push.
The shots, the control, everything going in their favor. They're still moving it. 26 seconds left. They don't even need the time.
Oh, the Grover Arai! He pushes it in a beautiful play. It ends up being SPLYCE with the comeback mechanic who now sweep things around and take it off of Envy. What a performance. What a comeback. And I mean, what a well of emotions erupting here if you're a SPLYCE fan.
And honestly, being able to do, I think, the perfect thing. They bait out a bunch of ults. They didn't use any of theirs in response. They didn't think Dread Serpent came through. Oh, I need to Hyper Beam to get this. They're like, okay, let's just take this.
Yeah.
Come back into it. Once we have them all, we don't need to worry about what Envy have. What are they going to do? Shoot us? Who cares? We have ults.
I mean, I tell you what, I'm more and more convinced that that when you have the 3-2 and you win that, and then it goes 3-3 and you have the chance to push, I'm convinced most games end there. Most games, I think, end on that. Once you capture 3-3, then go and push because you have the momentum. You've got those extra credits now. If you die, you get even farther ahead. I'm liking what I'm seeing. SPLYCE and Envy tied up.
We have ourselves a series. SPLYCE
Man, my heart
rocket
can't
through.
take this.
Yeah, it's so
It's
much.
wild. It's really wild out here. I mean, Envious make one adjustment to a roster there, making the Eevee switch for the Cassie. That's always like, man, they've got to be feeling hot. They've got to be feeling good about that roster, that composition that they draft. But it's just down the stretch, that ultimate economy. SPLYCE were able to get so much defensively out of Envious there in the final hold, and it's just a numbers game at that point. I mean, the Grover ult was okay. The Hyper Beam was okay. But the fact that there was just 4 ultimates to come out, I believe Spite was still up still. So SPLYCE, with gas in the tank, slide that one through, and just a mathematical big problem for Envious.
So what did you overall think about the impact of Grover in that composition?
I mean, so far he was keeping up on the healing charts. There was a lot of good things coming out of him. Evan nailed it right on the head, basically the build that Arai was going to be going for. And there's always that moment, right? It's easily cauterizable, but at the same time, when you get that Grover ultimate that comes through, it's a 2,500 health per second heal. Late game, there's Rejuvenate involved, just a little bit of that sneaking through. Even an uncauterized second or two, that's 2,500 health if that sneaks through uncauterized for just 1 second. So there's like massive potential there for turnaround with the Grover ultimate. Closest thing to just a full reset of a team fight that there can be.
And I don't know if the Hearts of SPLYCE could handle it if once again they went and brought it the distance 3-3 and then just lost it out in the end. So
they're here to fight.
yeah.
And I think this is kind of what I thought North America was going to look like from the start is really what it's evolving to. These teams are starting to figure out their roster changes, trying to figure out identities and what's strong where, what else can they do, right? That's not a very conventional thing that SPLYCE just did in that game, but it worked for them. And sometimes that's what it takes. It takes being, zero. It takes being winless with nothing to lose to start to experiment, to figure out what else can we do. SK, same story with them, right? They make a big substitution today. They're trying something new, and it's working out for them. So far, North America has put on an absolute show today.
Definitely have to keep your foot to that pedal, though, because there's a lot you have to worry about. We saw Tolkien on the Leon again, had some great plays on that. So
yeah.
Envy had some great moments as well. And going into this next
what a slash
game.
line. He was like 17 and 6, I think, last I saw him. And Random Noob, the hope for NA EVs everywhere. He's looking good on that as well. But the support bands in this set, the Genos and the Pip, has been a consistent theme here. We haven't seen Envy get to play the Pip just yet, but I'm sure after what Cuscutie's been doing with that earlier on in the season, most teams are feeling like they need to get that strategy nailed down.
These bands have not really been wavering at all, despite performances from individual players, locking in the Inara early.
And that's the thing about these games being so close. They can it's the same kind of draft coming out here again. Fernando first pick for Envy. They love having that. And they get the Zin as well. Torvald, now that he's sort of been discovered as maybe substitute for Zin, he's got the ability to really explode the Zin's potential in these games. Maybe a Shaolin comes through here on Frog Isle. Sniper play as well, with both of them open and available and still surviving halfway through the draft is a question that you have to be wary of, and you have to be all eyes up looking out for those two.
Yep, so on the Envy side, you take the Damba for yourself. Don't let that pair with Nara. You take the Torvald for yourself as well, kind of trying to slice your own way through these SPLYCE compositions that are possible.
And right now, Envious, they take the Maldamba, which is just solid, right? It's not necessarily a take away from a Nara. It's a great combination either way.
Yeah.
Maybe forcing SPLYCE to run that Grover back if that's the way they feel. But they take the Torvald away, which... that feels like that. I have to take this away from you so you don't get this with your Zin. And that is now something, yes, we've taken this away, but how do we work that into our own composition? Because sometimes if you just draft reactively the whole time and just focus on take this away from that, you end up with like all these toys that you've taken away.
Mine!
But then you're like, oh my God, I hate these toys. These are I hate Connects. Like, where are the Legos? You know what I mean?
You sound like the most spoiled kid right now.
These are the worst.
Went through all that work to get you those toys. See, here's Coach putting his draft together. But
Kinessa comes through late in the draft for Envious. And that's a big win condition that SPLYCE need to be worried about. Zin's going to have a big task on his hands, shutting that down, but they don't have a Torvald, they don't have a Zin, or a Geno, to supplement the Zin to allow him to get safely to the back line. They don't even have a really aggressive frontliner to escort Zin to the back line. SPLYCE, what this man is going to be able to accomplish is kind of a big question mark, and I think a lot of it is going to ride on this Kinessa versus Strict matchup, which is always a super fun one to watch. It's so pure.
Totally ready for that fun. It's great when you get to see both snipers picked up. So let's go ahead and get into that fun right now.
I love a nice glass of water, something very nice and pure, as Nick might have said, and that's like the Strix and Kinessa lineup, very pure. But then sometimes you're out in the forest, maybe on a picnic, and a little twig falls in your cup. You're like, I'm not sure if I want this water anymore. It's not so. Let's just get another cup. Can I get a refill on that? And I think that's what Grover might do in this matchup. He's, yes, healing with this efflorescent style, but his axes are going to add another threat that's going to give Strix a lot more room to operate than he normally would in that traditional 1v1.
And because the additional range that he has now on his healing, he doesn't have to worry too much about where he's standing. Going that far back, he can still kind of touch him. They might have to fall away from the point to be able to get hit, but then he can just hold the angles that he normally holds. And at that point, where's Kinessa going to peak?
Honestly, I haven't spent as much time as I would have liked playing this, and I have played it a bit. But on Frog Isle, I don't know. I don't know where the 50% range is. Because, he might be able to stand behind the wall where the snipers are and still heal pretty close to the point.
That would be dirty.
That would be pretty crazy.
Never know when it's going to happen. I'm interested to see how this works. And I love seeing the morale boost. It's one of those things,
never mind.
Not going for a Chronos, not going for anything, because he already has a little bit of cooldown on that. He just wants, let's get that whirlwind up as often as possible. Make sure the healing is always there.
So maybe this is the spot he wants to be. Because he's basically can heal right here at a Vayne. You're going to see the passive healing still ticking through. Rock Monkey, though, finds Arai, and again, Arai can't have a game against Envy where he doesn't die immediately on the first go.
It's unfortunate. Now that actually kind of allows Rock Monkey to get a little bit more aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe find some of these shots wherever he can. But you see all the coverage really applying for SPLYCE.
I think he didn't need to go down so fast. I mean, why go down that fast? They don't need to heal quite yet. Use your Vine to get in there if you need to heal. Stay up top. Really force Rock Monkey into a decent spot. Give Strix a little bit of room. Both of you guys find that sniper. Force them to come to you. You don't have great tools to go back to them. Force them to try and come to you. And I think that's the big key. Random Noob here on the Bomb King. You cannot ever take your eyes off of him. He's one of the best there is. And as you can see, forcing the rocket boots down. Beam Me Up 5 and Headstrong 5 here, increasing his maximum health. 3. And, of course, the flight speed of Transporter, 20%. It's going to be all he needs. 63% now on the objective for Team Envy.
Nice shot being able to get a little bit of poke down onto Strix, stop him from peeking his head out. With Rock Monkey getting pushed out, SPLYCE back in control. Kind of similar to how we saw the beginning of the last game go. A little bit of a tango around the point, but SPLYCE being able to hold onto it. This bomb team could be the big difference, but those axes, like you said, shutting them down.
They're shutting down that corridor, and you know what ends up happening? He forces him into a kind of an awkward spot, and now Bomb King, he's got to go to the point, but again, Rock Monkey, his timing is immaculate. Ricotta, though, takes down Kinessa. Is this enough? 87%. They've got about 3 seconds before they have to touch the point. Bomb King grows the Grumpy Bomb down, and he's not going to really be able to counter out of that one. Moonchopper finding Mr. Hayes, but it's a long-term investment, and it doesn't quite pay off yet. Although, Ricotta and William back on the point.
Going to be able to find some shots. Immortal forced out of Rubu trying to just stay alive, but that shotgun hits pretty hard. You cannot scoff away at it, but Random Noob going to be able to follow up the damage. Envy, solid control on that point, being able to kind of go through back and forth SPLYCE. Little moments. Maybe we can break in. Maybe we can break in. The armor's just too solid for Envy.
I mean, is this G2 versus Envy, or is this SPLYCE versus Envy? Because I can't tell the difference. These guys are neck and neck. They're trading blows. Every point fight is an interesting contest. 99-99. We had one of our longest games ever with this team. Composition here, I'm very impressed by both of these squads. And the competition in North America in general, as we have 2 minutes left for this push, gone about 40% of the way, I'd say. And still a lot to do.
The way they've learned, the way they've changed from that first week where it was just kind of like, oh, okay, this is where SPLYCE stands right now, to the point where, I mean, tied up right now, even though they didn't get that first point, if you told me that SPLYCE would be able to come out on this and find a first win, I would believe it. Just the way they've been playing last week and now today, it's been phenomenal. I'm really excited to watch these guys again. Week 4, week 5, it looks like a lot of these teams that seemed like they were nothing at the beginning have really found themselves a gym to be able to play.
I mean, yeah, seriously. This is an incredible amount of training. More training than I went through to, beat the Rock Gym in Pokemon, which was quite a lot. I gotta say, at this point, Random Noob, he's always done these things, and Ricotta making sure that he finds at least a little bit of a conversation piece there with the snipe kill. But Tolkien on this Torvald has been very, very strong for Envious's pressure.
Tolkien has the Hyper Beam, and that could make pretty big, significant game changer depending on where this goes, or at least maybe putting them up 2-0. But Envy are in this really weird position where, based on the last game, I don't know how much they'd want to commit to the push. If it does seem like it's going to get out of the way, they're going to go for the Hyper Beam. Not going to find too much there.
I don't understand
that.
that
Overall,
one.
Tolkien just dies.
Well, I don't get it, because, I mean, the CC immune Grover, right? I don't know what he's going for with the Hyper Beam onto him. It seemed like that Grover Whirlwind forced him to Hyper Beam without really thinking about what that Hyper Beam would do in that moment. And I think it's a good call by Arai to actually hit the gas pedal, but it ends up not quite working. Actually in his favor. Team Envy now finding William 355 isolated, finding Vayne already. Rubu finding that kill. Random Noob is just hiding in the angles, playing him perfectly. Dome Shield comes down. King Bomb, will he use it?
Maybe going through, trying to hold on to it. This payload's right there. Rubu actually dashing away. Overtime's still going to be there thanks to Tolkien, but overall they're losing Rubu. Random Noob. Mr. Hayes is still alive, but he's pretty far back, not hitting as hard as he'd like.
This is the stuff that impresses me the most about SPLYCE, how they have a bad situation, and they don't panic. They don't use more ultimates than they need to. Like, Vayne still keeps the seismic crash. Nobody goes crazy. Moonchopper eventually gets back in there. He's playing the Zen. He's got a lot of carry potential as long as they extend the fight. I'm really loving this. And they're playing in a... I mean, if Arai just doesn't die, that's a big game changer right there.
And that's where what you had kind of noted on at the beginning. I want to see him make the difference. Don't jump down too early.
Yeah.
Hang out right next to Ricotta, behind the wall for a little bit. That's where the healing's more than likely at the beginning going to be necessary. He's going to get hit at least once by Rock Monkey. Whether or not he gets that first shot, they're going to trade. He's going to need that healing. Then if you need to, like you said, Vine in, go down, make sure Vayne stays alive, make sure William stays alive. Keep them rolling, but you don't need to do it immediately. Just be very careful with your life at the beginning.
I mean, what a day for Mr. Hayes as well so far in this matchup. Just always on streaks. I mean, I feel like that's just where we've seen him exist. And I do love the way that he's adjusted there. Rock Monkey focusing on the right side. Ricotta finds Mr. Hayes to start, so that's big. Immediately gets a flashbang. Tolkien has no idea what's going on, but he's just backing up. And being an old grandpa, popping those bubbles anywhere. And that's Ricotta finding a couple of clutch shots there. And oh boy, the pressure now starting to mount onto Envy, who are getting pushed back.
And I love the rotation. Ricotta recognizing exactly how you're going to have to see Kinessa react to that. Rock Monkey was not firing shots where he was until it was too late. Gets rid of one.
Yeah.
And SPLYCE now have control of the point. And you can see the zoning coming out, pushing Envy back as far as they can. It's not going to hold forever, but at least giving them a little bit more time, up to 72%.
Well, I mean, Seismic Crash could have gotten popped there, and I think would have gotten quite a bit. Rubu, oh, wonderful spite. You know what's so good about that? Even though he's not running Guillotine, he ends up stalling enough, forcing the shield down, and that's the only frontliner. Rock Monkey's got to do a lot of work by himself here, and it's just not enough. The two front lines, as well as the sniper, the pressure, it's just insurmountable as William cleans him up. And SPLYCE now take the lead over Envy.
And the difference between this one and the last game we were looking at Ricotta on the Cassie.
Yeah.
Didn't really start hitting hard until later in the game. Now you can see exactly what happens again, similar to the first one, when his presence is there the entire time. Him and Moonchopper this time going to be able to eat through tons of health bars on their own. And with the help of the rest of the team, with Arai keeping them topped off, they don't have too much to worry about. 2 minutes, this is a perfectly fine stall. Go back, regroup, reheal, reapproach.
Yeah, and they play this so well. And they're just patient, and they wait, and they know that, listen, SPLYCE have a sniper too. You should have just as big of an onus as we do to go after your sniper. So why are we trying to be the ones who aggress all the time? That's how we keep losing a man advantage, and then they just capitalize off of that. Maybe let's just see what they got by themselves. Look at how much Rubu is diving the sniper. Vayne in the back line. Do you want to, like, go over there? He's just like, hey, Ricotta, good luck, buddy.
Rubu got the kill there. He almost didn't. That almost was him diving deep and Ricotta turning it around. And that could have been very impressive. Of course, it does go the way that if Vayne maybe turned around a little bit faster, could have gotten the kill, maybe saved his teammate. Either way, I want to say showcasing a little bit of a slip from Envy. There's no reason to really get that aggressive.
There is no reason, yeah.
When
I
you
agree.
have a Kinessa that should be theoretically taking care of.
Honestly, if Vayne is a little bit more aggressive there and realizes the opportunity, he just goes and rolls over maybe a Warder's Field, maybe a wall. Ricotta stays alive. He and them both kill Rubu, and then this push is even easier for them. Let's not forget, Strix, he's got that flare, so they know exactly where they're coming from, and this is just helping everyone to be in a great defensive position, not worry too much about where Rock Monkey is, and also get the peak advantage, so he's going to be able to shoot first before they come out.
And I love it. You can see him kind of doing that. I dare you to poke your head out. Like, just try to step out of the base. I'm going to make you eat 1,200 damage. Rubu forced to go into the Immortal. Going to be able to heal up a little bit, but right now with Vayne, the ult, Seismic Crash, everything that could come out of this, even losing 2 members there, SPLYCE, I think, are still in this for the next 20 seconds.
And now, obviously with this Torvald having a dual front line, it makes it a little harder with Vayne. Vayne buying time. They want you to buy time. I don't know. I think Vayne has made a couple of interesting choices here. You do want to go down early there to regroup with your team as fast as possible because you're going to die no matter what. And that other play with Ricotta. It's all right, though. It's a defense. I think they're both happy with that. This is the one you really want to win, right? Because you go, 3-2, and then you're able to maybe push this through and actually get a win. So investing some ultimates there really would make sense on the next round.
And I feel like there might have been, at least in Vayne's mind, because I was thinking the same thing, a little bit of a discrepancy in the time. I figured SPLYCE, with the way he had held it and the way there was, they would be able to find the overtime. I thought they were going to be able to make it back, and I think it was just, it felt a little bit slower overall than it really did to get back there. Either way, they're kind of happy. Whirlwind, I think, is the one that will make the biggest difference on the point in terms of their ult, but
yeah.
They're kind of missing some big heavy hitters right now.
Let's take a look. Rock Monkey, they've got Cauterize. Random Noob as well has Cauterize. Rubu, though, built up that Rejuve 3, but you look how valuable. SPLYCE, a very smart team. Moonchopper, the rest of those guys, very intelligent. Think critically about the game. Rejuvenate is one of the most important items you can in Paladins. It's a 1-to-1 negation of Cauterize, and even if you go from Cauterize 3 to Cauterize 2.8. It is going to make a big difference. Really good isolation of Rubu, and now it's just Torvald who can fight on the point. This is a free zone for SPLYCE.
Being able to get rid of probably the heaviest hitter,
I think worth.
at least in terms of frontline, that's perfectly worthwhile. You can see now Random Noob kind of locked away in the corner trying to fight bombs versus Shotgun. Shotgun right now is winning.
Okay, William. Okay, William. Doing his thing, really letting us know that he's from the 355. I'm assuming that's an area code. Maybe it's not. You have no idea. Rye, though, being smart, look at the healing radius on that. Heals him all the way down on the bottom side. And Ricotta still getting that passive healing. But you know what? It doesn't matter when Ricotta finds two and Rock Monkey and Random Noob both get double kills and SPLYCE just fall to pieces.
Being able to find that. Now look at the aggression from Envy. That's exactly what they needed. This is where they've been missing a lot. Not a lot of damage, a lot of just kind of sit back, try to fight. Now finally being able to showcase that they do have the push, at least to be able to grab this, similar to what we saw at the beginning of the game, 81 to 78. Not enough to hold back Vayne.
They did, and what was so good about the way SPLYCE did that is they let everyone go out first, and they all shot everyone else, started to poke, and then they started running away, and then Vayne, still on the mount, gets back, and Ricotta able to find Rock Monkey. Can he find another one? This is where Strix needs to play. Mr. Hayes needs to fall here, but Ricotta getting pressured by Random Noob. A triple kill for the Noob, and he finds everything that he needs, and his team finds the objective.
Sometimes there's just not anything you can do to stop the Bomb King on someone who has made a name for himself on this champion and showcasing exactly why. Casual triple kill gets them the point, moves it forward. SPLYCE being held at bay one more time. They did defend the first time around, but Envy could end it, put themselves up 2-1. And have a little bit of an advantage going forward in the set. Definitely keeping it a lot closer than I think a lot of people expected.
That was so interesting, you know, how that all unfolded. And again, tough as nails, both of these teams, defense and offense, both trading out. I mean, every point fight is, what a story. I feel like it's like a, you know, a science fiction novel with 3 parts that I'm reading. And I'm eating it up. I'm excited because I can't wait to see which way it goes, what turn will happen next. Who will be the killer? And who will be the hero at the end of the day? Random Noob backing away. Tolkien gets taken down by William 355 with a minute left.
A minute and a half. So much room, but William 355 gets 2. Rock Monkey with a nice jump shot, but immediately Arai getting aggressive. SPLYCE. This is a defense that they are getting this aggressive on. You can see as it comes through. Maybe a little bit too hard as SPLYCE are getting that aggressive.
I mean, here's the thing that I'm noticing. Again, no fear from either of these teams against one another, and the ability to capitalize on moments that are going their way really without hesitancy. That's what is going to separate a okay team from a great team.
And with the way that they've been playing it and the way SPLYCE is, they have a lot, I want to say leaning in their favor, a lot of things that are going right, and they've been able to showcase that, I mean, during that point fight, even during the push. But then it just seems like every now and then there's one missed call where it just comes through and it's kind of like, well, that wasn't the play. That wasn't what you needed to do. And in most cases, a lot of teams, they read that, they recognize and they say, let's not do that one again. You can see that in the future. But then when you get up in the scenario where you don't see that happen again, and Envy are just throwing new things at you every single time they're trying to, you don't have time to adapt. You can't figure out, what did we just do wrong? How do we fix it? Here, you might be able to see some over-aggression. It might end up paying off and it might end up getting punished.
Yeah.
But Envy, definitely not too worried if the defense
missed
comes
the vine. And he will go back to base. Arai. He's been the real talking point for me. You know, you keep him alive, things start to look good. You don't, things are a little tough. King Bomb here coming from Random Noob. He knows the distance. Good counter there from Moonchopper. And that Poppy Bomb is actually more to save himself. Moonchopper finds the kill. What an excellent cycle of rotations, of ability rotations from him.
What a nice flashbang as well. Ricotta making sure to get a little bit of damage. Moonchopper does go down though, so everything going through. That's 2 big ults being used. Dome Shield didn't really get a lot. 30 seconds left. Envy's still hanging around. William, the main focus, but Vayne coming through. So they're still trying to contest this point, but they are getting burned.
Oh, and he needs to stun. He can't get it. I think this might be it, Gore. This looks like it's going to be Envy taking game number 2. I mean, I'm telling you know, that third capture into the push, that usually is where people do it. They find enough momentum, and maybe you got to say there were some miscommunication things. I think SPLYCE have the tools here, and it's showing that they can play with these guys and beat them any given day. It's just execution, I think, that it's coming down to.
And when it came down to it, I mean, there was a really good flashbang. Hits 2, maybe is able to find a lot, and then there's the Dome Shield on the side. And it's like, where's the Dome Shield going? Like, what was that to combat? And didn't really hold anyone back. The payload just kind of went right by it. And it's just, again, the tools being used, maybe not in the way they needed to be.
Yeah, well, let's take a look back at what happened this game as we head to the desk to break it down.
For a second, it looked like SPLYCE was going to get it all together and finish off the game, but Envy coming through.
Yeah, right out of the gate, I was curious how this match was going to go. I thought Envy drafted very well around the Xin, and you almost saw that reflected in the damage charts a little bit, where there was very limited time that Moonchopper was able to dive freely and kind of do what he wanted. But you look at that sniper matchup. That was very pure, very even footing for the most part. Rock Monkey maybe slightly getting the better of that just because his team won, and that has a decent amount to do with it. But then you look at Random Noob versus his name blanking on me right now, Moonchopper on the Xin. Those two, Moonchopper, when can he get to the back line? That's a big question mark for him. But Random doesn't really need to get to the back line on this Bomb King. He can kind of get to that mid-range and just chunk his way through these front lines right down here in the pit on Frog Isle and just brawl with the best of them. Big triple kill here. Big moment, big spray. Paulie B from the block is coming to play on one of his favorite champions, and I just think there was more effective uptime for him on this Bomb King. He did a ton of damage. I think he sat at somewhere around the second or third place basically the entire game.
Even moments before that, Ricotta on the Strix was having a great time getting kills under his belt, but then Random Noob with the rest of the team shutting them down entirely. And from that moment is where Envy really made their statement of winning the game.
I mean, Ricotta had some great moments, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And they always do on these snipers on Frog Isle. There's some pretty sick moments for both Rock and Ricotta, but I think just the uptime and the effectiveness against the frontliners and the amount of brawling that Random Noob was able to do in this game helped them slightly edge it out over SPLYCE on Frog Isle.
So we're going to go into game number 4, which is Ice Mines. Might be slowing it down a bit.
SPLYCE were super good here in weeks past. This was part of their campaign for their first win, and now they've got to work their way back here. This is game number 4. This is do or die for them. If they don't get the win here, they'll be out on the day. But gotta say, they looked phenomenal here. And if the Xin is not happening for SPLYCE, I want to see them go to the Mave here. That was something that SPLYCE worked with last week that looked really, really great because they had their Ice Mines performance was kind of meh. Everyone's slash lines were getting pretty ugly except for Moonchoppers. He was a very bright light in the darkness for them on this Mave to the point where it's getting banned out. Hasn't been brought out today. But if it calls for it, I think it's a good look for them. But with Fernando banned out, Fernando is a big sort of thing and a talking point around the Street Justice Mave that people tend to run it into and tend to like to counter out. So I don't know. We'll have to see where it all ends out.
Just not wanting to deal with Rubu on that Nando anymore. Ruckus is the first to get locked in. And yeah, last week we were talking about how Moonchopper, even though he was the young gun coming in last season, had to quickly turn around to being a veteran for his team in that particular.
Dad for SPLYCE now. He's got to step up. Arai has, not in terms of PPL experience, but experience overall. Arai used to play with Bitey and Shady Shades and those guys in the core of SK a long while back on a team by the name of Eager. But he has since kind of, he took a hiatus away from competitive play for a while, came back up through the PGS as most of these members of SPLYCE and Envy have done. And SPLYCE are going to run back this Grover, so they really like sticking to their guns here. And this is a good answer. I'm glad they have it. They needed something, definitely. When you look at this Pip and this Genos being banned out every single game so far between Envious and SPLYCE, it's really helpful that they've been working on some other type of support. And this is the first time we're seeing it. No one else has run this yet.
Yeah, I'm sure not every organization has been going and saying, Grover, that's who we need to bring back into our lineup of composition and working in scrim. So good on SPLYCE to anticipate that with the help of their coach. But, I mean, apparently Bitey's been mentioning it a few times as well.
Bitey and Arai, they're tight. I mean, they're tight. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some flow of information between the two of them. Torvald, big pick still left up on the board with Xin hovering for Envious. Will SPLYCE take it away? They get the barracks, so I don't know if that's looking likely for them. Mave, they need something for the Moonchopper here if they're going to put Ricotta on this Shaolin, and it will be so.
There we go. So impactful during the last week, all the way up into the moment it started getting banned away in the games. And right now on this map can show out potentially again Torvald, the last lock-in for Envy.
This will be interesting to see the Street Justice. How does it pair against the Torvald shields? The anti-burst versus the all-in burst. I love watching the Street Justice Maven. I'm really, really excited to see what Moonchopper's going to be able to pull off.
It's game number 4, everybody. Let's find out what happens.
Well, welcome to game number 4. I mean, the biggest adjustment for me is going from the front line that was only Rubu now to being the Tolki and Rubu front line, and most notably, the other T in this conversation, the Torvald.
Yeah, being able to just pick up the draft that I feel like they're comfortable with. I mean, everything's kind of working together. Torvald, again, kind of elongating Zin's life, making sure he gets a little bit more damage out of his sword. I guess I was going to say more bang for his buck, but he doesn't really have a shotgun.
More
so
swing
way,
out of the sword.
Yeah, as it goes forward. So a lot of flames I expect to be flying.
And, really the thing is, another kind of point to that, there's this lack of Torvald that we see. We often see him banned, and then sometimes when he's not banned, we don't see him taken. And I think teams don't necessarily have that strategy with him. What we saw SPLYCE do is implement something that worked. It beat Envy. And I think Envy kind of had that conversation saying, well, we can't just let that happen all the time. So now let's take Torvald. Let's start to work it in with him. It's a slow start, but a very fast slope to where we may be seeing Torvald right back into the meta, right back into the priority bands outside of the Genos and everything, if people really start to figure out how to work him into these lineups again in this meta.
Looking at the other side, though, SPLYCE, Moonchopper running back as Mave, something that was so strong that when it did get banned away, that's what kind of brought Renegades back in their reverse sweep. So right here, I'm kind of wondering if it's going to be a similar performance. It's been solid so far, but as you can see, the score still leaning over towards Envy, at least in terms of the set. So far, really solid daggers.
Yeah, lots of damage, but he's looking to get aggressive, and aggressive almost on the wrong person, who doesn't need to use his cooldowns at all yet. It's good damage, but then he just counters, billows, should be back to safety. And Ice Mines, it's just not the map that you would expect Maeve to be able to utilize all of her skills. The mobility that Maeve has, really limited in this point fight, where pretty much you step a toe out of line and you're gone.
And really, you can kind of see where it's coming from no matter what. Unless she is really sneaky, you're not going to see too much. So Moonchopper having a little bit more. Mr. Hayes going to be the one who actually finds first blood onto Vayne.
Does he fall? He
losing
fell.
Over all that ruckus is bad.
15% now for Envy there, climbing, and this is just, I think, a very strong lineup on the side of SPLYCE, but not for this map. I think that's the big key for me, and they give up the Zen as well. It's a rough one, and I don't know if they'll be able to combat it here. But still, Vayne back on the point. No Inara onto the ruckus this time around in this set.
And honestly, when it came down to it, I was looking at the Grover again, and the last couple maps it's been, where does he stand? Where does he stand? Here, it doesn't really seem like there's going to be much of an issue. Wherever he is, he should overall be close enough to the point as long as he stays safe. But the problem has been staying safe. As you can see, Envy getting very aggressive. Rubu in their face is this Inara, 75% picked up, and they're not slowing down.
Grover's dying more than he has a right to with 23.75 in the health department. He is one of the leaders here in the supports nowadays. Finally gets that ultimate, but with Hi-Rez stacking, he is not doing as much healing as he would have liked. Uses the Vine, and actually that carries him through, but not onto the point, which Team Envy capture.
And now this is the point SPLYCE might be able to buy some time for themselves. They can get a good wipe, push them back. Rock Monkey already down. They get rid of Rubu, so they get some breathing room. But honestly, with 2 minutes left, and you're on Ice Mines, you kind of expect this to be a longer one anyway.
Wow.
Not the end of the world.
Ricotta finds one, but can't quite get Random Noob TV, who's kind of waiting for him, knowing, well, my hiding spot might get found out a little bit. It's almost time to end this game of hide and seek, but he ends it with a nice kill, escapes back to his team. 78% on the scout, which is a very good ultimate on maps that are punishing at the start of a point fight.
I really love watching Moonchopper on this map. You can see exactly why it would be banned out. It's very, very strong. A nice planted coming down. Ricotta just trying to find anything, but that Dread Serpent did what Envy needed more than anything. It just created space for them to get back to the payload.
And it's really been exciting to watch as well. I think Rock Monkey, taking kind of one out of the book of every damage dealer that he's seen here in the PPL and making it his own, in his own way, kind of putting his own garnish to it. And I think it's been exciting to see him play his own style of Zen, see Evil Eye play his own style of Zen, see Moonchopper play his own style of Zen, and all three succeed.
Being able to kind of get maybe a little bit more of a defensive line set up. The Zen kind of breaks through that. No matter what, you stack up, you have any deficit, you're trying to fight at range, he's just going to be able to hit you. It's always going to kind of lean a little bit more in his favor, and I think you can even still see these swords or these flames flying across. They're not really finding a home just yet, but Rock Monkey just making sure his presence is always known.
Ricotta here withdrawing back, 42 seconds now arrive, finding a double kill, a rare form, a rare sight here from the Grover. But he does, and it'll be a stabilization right now for Team Envy and Team SPLYCE, just both going back to base and taking a little bit of time to regroup. Right, trying to catch Rock Monkey, but that bubble actually really just saves his life.
Keeps him alive. Now he's getting healed up, and actually what could have been a further retreat, I want to say, for Envy, He's going to get stalled out, not in the worst spot. They can take this fight at multiple angles, maybe even come around and sneak up on someone with Splyce, mainly William 355. There's a passage right behind his back. And the way they approach this fight could be big, but as it is right now, it's kind of a stall. 5 seconds left to get all the way over there.
3, 2.
And I don't think they're going to be able to do it. It's a good enough zone. This is what Ice Mines is kind of all about. And I mean, we've seen this before. I mean, Envy have, with a little bit more execution and maybe a little bit more veteranship in the PPL than most of these players that they're playing against, despite, you know, Rock Monkey and Rubu being new. I think that right now they're just an inch away. They're just an inch away in terms of getting that last fight to tilt their way, that one play from somebody, that coordinated effort that ends up stealing the deal. You could tell most of these pushes are 1-1s. And they're dead even as far as play most of the time.
I'm excited to see how SPLYCE, so far, I think both teams have been adapting really well to each other, being able to say, okay, this is how you want to fight this is how we're going to fight this,
5, 4,
and being able to move round 1, round 2, have pretty big differences. But SPLYCE is the one that has been changing, I think, the most in their way, in their approach overall. When they recognize something is wrong, that's typically when they can step up, and I'm interested to see, do they go for maybe a little bit more of a flank? Do they get a little bit more aggressive, less aggressive? Where do they take this fight?
And I think at this point, you know, you look at all the ultimates used, they don't get anything. They just stall, but they don't get anything. No big cooldowns, no big ultimates in response. It maybe establishes them on the point, but Ruck is having a hard time of holding it down, and you got to say that him and the way that William 355 is playing this barrack as more of an offensive barrack are not good to stand up against an Inara on the objective.
And now 4 ults all been used, and again, nothing really to show for it except maybe some high health bars thanks to the Whirlwind. Shots are going to be good. Ricotta on the side, he's hitting hard, but there's the Dread Serpent. That's going to set it up. Random Noob gets 1 kill. Hexafire, it's in an awkward spot, not really going to find the damage he wants. They do get a kill, but Random Noob and Rock Monkey are stepping up.
And can they find Mr. Hayes? They find Random Noob. Can they get this one here? Mr. Hayes still makes it out alive, and that's the problem. You got to cut out not just the symptom, the cause of why they're staying alive so well. And to his credit, Mr. A's been pretty phenomenal today on the Moldamba. It seems some of the highest streaks we've seen in the PPL on this champion.
And just staying alive, keeping his healing going. Not
that
exactly
one wasn't
the
exactly where he wanted to go,
but
that's
way,
okay.
It's still going to work out for them, trying to keep up Rubu and Tolkien. As long as they stay alive, their fight is pretty much indomitable. The way things are going, Arai going down, SPLYCE are just throwing themselves at Envy, and Envy are taking it.
And I mean, the same guys who were very low, right, and were falling down as a result of Mr. Hayes' healing, and they're just backing off. Mr. Hayes finding that last kill by himself as well. They're the ones who get the kills here. Rubu, Tolkien, Random Noob. Rubu back here on the Inara, flexing off of the Fernando all day long. Great stuff from them. Team MV grab objective number 2, albeit, you know, taking a little while, playing cautiously against SPLYCE.
Couple of hits here and there, maybe a couple of technical losses, I guess, if you kind of want to give it as a bout. The punches being thrown, you see more like fencing as it comes through. SPLYCE definitely able to kind of accrue, but not as much. I did want to for a long time, but I never pushed myself
I
there.
saw a book about it in Barnes & Noble once.
No, I've watched fencing.
A friend of mine once told me about a friend that did it for quite some time, so kind of.
I've seen a fencer's sword before.
I've seen fencing on the Olympics before, so, you know.
I know that it exists.
Yeah. I've read the word and said it out of my mouth before, so I know pretty much everything there is.
I would consider myself an expert at this point.
Well, you know, I think experts always appear online. Do you trust them? That's your call nowadays. I trust you, Gore.
Is that a mistake is the question.
Is that a mistake? I hope not, because I know where you're going to be Mondays through Sundays, pretty much, if you do me wrong.
Right now, Envy doing SPLYCE wrong in multiple ways, pushing this payload, having a lot more ease with it this time than they did last time going forward. There's another Whirlwind, but the question of the day so far has been how impactful is it really? The health good, Rock Monkey low, but still alive.
Oh my God, They got backdoored. Wow. So MB say, how do you guys like the view from up there? If you turn around, you actually can see on the veranda outside, right before the lake, actually, beautiful swans. They swim early in the morning there. Your payload getting pushed into the objective and giving us an extra point. That's actually going to raise the cost of the property, but it's worth it.
It's worth it. Distracted.
Rain Day Realty.
Really, really well
It's expensive,
controlled.
but it's worth it.
And, I mean, a lot of that point fight didn't feel the same SPLYCE that we've been feeling, I would say, from the last couple games. that defense definitely didn't feel like the Splyce we've seen the last couple of games. They just seem to be a little bit all over the place right now, and it's kind of weird because this is their map.
Yeah. Well, Random Noob, Envy, they do that to teams. These guys have been looking good all split long. Had a couple of close calls here against SPLYCE, but SPLYCE seemed to have kind of not drafted perfectly for this moment. However, Moonchopper makes a statement early on. They've got Comeback Mechanic now, chasing down Mr. Hayes. Oh, and their direction adjusts. Maybe that's a call. William355 getting low. Rock Monkey still alive. Mr. Hayes still alive. Is this going to be a problem? No. Vayne, Ricotta cleaning them up.
Being able to take control right now, Rubu recognizing where he stands. The spray before the kill, the dance even afterward. Ricotta feeling himself on that. Comeback Mechanic going to be strong. Random News back, but that shot's going to put him out of commission.
They don't know Rock's there. Look at him.
SPLYCE are in control.
They don't know. They don't know.
Behind.
And it's Rock versus Riot. What's going to happen here? Now they know he's here. But he's going to tick away. Maybe a little bit of overtime. The Whirl. Just buy some time here. Is that enough? Is that enough? Overtime is here. I think they're going to give it up. SPLYCE seem to have captured this objective off a great start and some great Street Justice burst there from Moonchopper.
Being able to grab it, utilizing the comeback mechanic, and that's the glory of Ice Mines right there. That is what you need when you're the team that's behind. Just a little bit of space, a little bit of room. Even though you're down 3-1, you can come back and win it. Rubu going down there.
That's funny.
SPLYCE definitely being able to take advantage, but I feel like this is more Envy's positioning that is giving SPLYCE these kills.
You know, Ruckus and Anar really hitting it off. You know, Anar walls him in, says, "You're mine tonight, Big Daddy," and then all of a sudden the lights go off, and she starts to kind of second guess. She's like, you know what, maybe it's too soon, and then Ruckus finishes her off with the miniguns there. It was seeming like a favorable trade in the daytime, but you know, hey, at the end of the day, sometimes the day is not the same. You are not the same as you are in the evening. Rock Monkey, he seems to be the same on the Zen whenever he plays them. Just dominant.
And they've been doing really well on Envy, the small things, really kind of taking through them. And this is actually kind of interesting because I think we're seeing the opposite of what we saw at the very beginning. Earlier, this was reversed. SPLYCE up at 3, Envy up at 2. They don't let that push through. Envy uses the comeback mechanic and then finds their win on Ascension Peak. It feels like ages ago, but that did happen today. Now, you're Envy. Maybe you learn from what happened then and say, look, let's make it 3-3.
I think we're seeing a development here. I think the meta game of Paladins is becoming people are becoming more knowledgeable across the board, and they're making decisions that we wouldn't have seen them make 6 months ago, maybe even 3 months ago. And they're saying, yes, we do not want to invest anything here. I mean, you might have said that anyway, saying that, hey, if we invest and they still push, and then we don't have our ults for the final round of Ice Mines, sure, that comeback mechanic aside. But that strolls in. You know, and you got to say that maybe there's somebody saying, guys, not worth it. We don't want to come back mechanic fight again. We're, one bad fight and we're out, and we're tied up going to a best of 5.
Especially considering every time they've been on even ground, Envy have been able to push it forward. Whether they lose a fight, doesn't really matter. They get to come back. You get 2 at least in all of this, although Ice Mines makes it a little bit closer to just 1.5, but that's going to be a big kill. No healer for SPLYCE.
All right, he tries to be the body blocker, but he can't even survive himself. With all of that healing, he ends up dying thanks to Cauterize. Tolkien throws William355 off the map, and you got to say, losing your healer first that quickly after you use all those ultimates, it's almost feeling like I think you've given up at this point.
Random New TV took a planted shot to the head. I think it was meant for Rock Monkey, but either way, they're going to follow up, showcase exactly why Envy are the ones in the lead right now. This is going to be big for SPLYCE. They need to get back in there, but they're not really grouped up right now. Vayne kind of isolated on his own, trying to figure out how to get in there. Good damage, but no kills just yet, and
nice
a beautiful stun.
Nice stun, and Rock Monkey finishes the kill off. It looks like Envy are not having any more of this SPLYCE action. You can go ahead and hide in that corner because we have this objective on lock. Random Noob TV firing away, tries to get a shot onto William355. Kinetics, it will add the anti-heal, but will it be enough? Doesn't need the scout to know. Shaolin shooting at him, goes into the stealth, can still see him as a result of that scout, so it does end up paying off. Good dodge roll, somersault, paying dividends, and hopefully helping him to win against Moonchopper. Rubu finds Ricotta, but Arai is still here with Vayne, keeping him alive.
Rock Monkey's swinging for the fences, though, going to be able to hit a lot right now. All you need to do is kill a couple. 99%, they're dancing around it, but that's the last 2 kills.
And there's the spray. There's the emote time. Rock Monkey, he's just going to be respectful, stand there and say, you know what? It was a hard-earned battle. but we got our win. That's what we came for. We got a doubleheader today. Still business to handle, but at least we were able to take care of SPLYCE.
Keeping it long, but still being able to go through. Doesn't feel like a 3-1. SPLYCE definitely playing
Feels like a 5-5
a lot
out of
better
5-5.
when the way things were able to go. And I'm
Yeah.
really impressed with the way they've been able to adapt. Again, week to week, they've just been improving.
Well, let's send it to the desk. Break down game number 25 here in the SPLYCE vs. Envy.
So that does it. 3-1 in the favor of Team Envy. SPLYCE once again putting up a fight, but not quite able to finish.
Yeah, SPLYCE looking super good on Ice Mines in weeks prior here, but Envious with another solid draft throughout here. Solid performances when you've got Toki going to Leon sometimes and having those lights-out performances, 17 and some small amount of deaths, half the 2 KD pulling that, then switching to Torvald, being able to flex onto the front line in a couple of games as well. Too versatile. They get too many good things for them. The Cassie plug and play on just about any composition. Then you get Rock Monkeys in, holding it down with Torvald backing him up. Too much to stop.
So many shining moments for all the players on Team Envy, but Tolkien in particular, taking a look at just the Leon play that he had prior, as you mentioned, and the switch-ups and great moments, whether it's a triple kill here or being able to hold it down for the team, then I think that's a lot for him to be proud of.
Yeah, he's really evolved, and we're seeing a lot of these guys have to step up and fill this role of, like, sometimes off-tanking, sometimes playing the DPS, but Phoenix is almost doing this in Europe as well. When he does play the DPS, he is sometimes pulling the hottest KDs. He's pulling so many big moments, big plays. And if you get that type of performance off a guy that's just flexing around to sort of like do what you need him to do in a composition, he's not the person you would expect to step up and be the star of some of these games, but Tolki has easily filled that role for Team Envious, in my opinion, this week.
We mentioned it earlier on in this set, the fact that right now it's kind of a game of, can your players flex? Can they be pushed out of their comfort zone and still feel good about it? We talked about Random Noob going away from the blasters in some moments and still having a good performance, and Tolki is another example of that, where you really do have to have a different type of versatility than before needed.
A very, very strong performance from this Envious Flex today. It's been an incredible thing to see, incredible sight to see the evolutions of all of these teams. When you're looking at SPLYCE, the performance they had today against Envious, one of the top teams in North America, as well as, you know, their sad reverse sweep last week, and it still was a great show. SK looking better, Renegades looking better, SPLYCE looking better. North America really coming into its own in these later weeks, and week 5 could be the most competitive week of the season.
Because that's the thing, there were great moments from SPLYCE, even if you look particularly on the Frog Isle game where Ricotta going on the Strix, he was on the Kinessa in game 1, had some great moments, or even when Vayne did a great job of sticking to Rubu in certain situations, wiping him off the table to open up for the rest of the team. And those are the things that you have to look back upon as SPLYCE and say, hey, we had something going for us. We were doing it right. But now it's just a matter of those weak spots. You got to find some way to mend them.
Yeah, and I mean, Vex tweeted out earlier today, though we do get 3-0'd, very proud of the way we played today. I think SPLYCE are in the exact same boat. They do find a game here against Envious, but the way they played in just about every game of the set, they should be walking out of there with their heads hang high.
Yeah, so going into the rest of the PPL for SPLYCE, they had a great mindset as far as being willing to experiment with their draft, changing things up in that way. And I think if they continue using this time for that exact experimentation, then they might be able to discover some other strengths that have yet to be unhidden.
For sure, and they're sort of almost trailblazing here in North America. You know, bringing out the Maeve, they were the first team to lean on that heavily. Bringing out the Grover, first team to lean on that heavily. There are moments of greatness, and the fact that SPLYCE is not afraid to experiment and test around and really feel the waters out. And when you can do that, especially looking at this series meta, it was a little bit weird to see Pip and Genos banned out just about every single game. Yeah. That is a strange development, and the fact that SPLYCE have some pressure put on them now. Arai, like I said, he's a very versatile guy, so the fact that they have this Grover to pull out, and not only is it like, oh, we're responding to what's being thrown at us, we can do this here. It's like, no, we want to do this. They took that Grover every single game, and they looked absolutely phenomenal with it.
And then on the side of Envy, coming off of last week where they were narrowly missing their opportunity to be top seed, I'm sure they came in with a vengeance and maybe got a little worried after game 1 when you lose a game, but they managed to find their bearings again.
Yeah, and that's definitely something you're going to want to. They're looking likely to be that third team or that fourth team, to come to Vegas. Fifth team, to come to Vegas. Right, we've got Navi and Fnatic over in Europe. We've got G2 and SK, and then we're taking whoever's got the next best record here. And of course, you got to compare Ninjas and Pajamas, the third place team from EU, to what is the second place team here in North America. Envious is a team that I'm very excited to see, and all three of those North American teams. Now with SK stepping up, I think there's going to be a very, very fun tournament coming up for us in Vegas.
Well, following that performance from Team Envy, it's time to hear from Mr. Hayes himself. We've got Rain Day standing on by with him. Let's take a look.
Well, hey everybody, it's Rain Day here with Mr. Hayes from Team Envious. How you doing today, man? I'm doing well. You seem like you're a little, comatose, kind of just settled in after getting the W today. So how are you guys feeling? Especially, I kind of want to take a step back from last week and look at that loss, that incredible point fight at the end, the double reload heals for Pip to just keep Evil Eye alive. Those things that are, very interesting for us to watch. How did that feel on your end, just being so close to getting that game and obviously transitioning into this week where you still had to win?
Yeah, after that loss, it was really heartbreaking because we were really looking forward to, finally proving ourselves as a team. And what we were hoping to do is take the first spot. But I took it really hard personally, and I know my teammates did. And we're using that motivation to move forward. And hopefully that won't happen again.
Well, it's interesting. I would probably argue that you guys have proven yourselves already with the performance thus far. Just because you didn't beat G2 doesn't mean that you guys aren't showing your big dogs and should be in the conversation. Moving on to today, though. SPLYCE, what a performance by them. And you guys, quite a long set. That first game on Ascension Peak, what were your thoughts about that one and some of the plays they pulled out?
I had a really fun time on Ascension Peak personally.
It was great.
Yeah, it was a hype game. We were struggling early, but then we were able to pull it back. One thing I want to say is SPLYCE and NA as a whole are improving, and I think that's becoming pretty clear. And these teams that picked up these newer PGS players, they're not playing like they're new teams anymore. They're playing like a team, and so we're going to see a lot of improvement coming out from them lately.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things I'd like to echo as well. There's just been no almost lapse in synergy, and after 4 weeks, we're already seeing marked improvements from week 3 to week 4. A notable thing here, the Torvald, that started to play a little bit of a conversation piece within your drafting strategy. You started out with Rubu as a solo frontliner on Fernando, but then once Torvald actually started working for SPLYCE, it became more of a conversation piece that you switched Tolki onto. Do you feel that he's going to start playing more of a piece here in drafts? He's been kind of banned and sometimes left to do his own thing and sometimes not even picked up.
Yeah, we didn't really like Torvald initially, but then teams were beating us with it, and so we picked it up and we started running it pretty well. So you'll probably see more of that.
Seems like it's working out for you. Last thing today, especially your performance, I thought was pretty immaculate. You had a couple of streaks that were some of the highest we've seen in the PPL, and obviously a healer doesn't always get as much screen time, doesn't always get as much commentary time, but today was really great. How are you feeling about your own individual performance today and heading into the rest of the season?
I think I played pretty well, but there's always room for improvement, and I'm going to look for that improvement and play even better. So, but thank you.
Awesome. Continuing to delight as far as the plays and, of course, on camera as well. Mr. Hayes, thank you so much for being with us from Team Envious. Congratulations on the first victory. We still got more to play, though, in the PPL, so let's send it back to the desk and see what we've got next.
Mr. Hayes blazing through the competition with the rest of Team Envy. They've got another match up next, so I'm sure we're in for more amazing performance.
These are some long games. These are some long sets. What time is it? It's creeping up on about 6 o'clock here. We're getting close to that 4-hour mark here where we got to start rolling over, but it's been a long day so far. We've got 2 more sets coming at you. We've just hit the halfway point in today's broadcast.
Yep, so we have powered through the first 2. It's time for the next 2 after the break, which is going to be Team Envy versus Renegades and then SK versus Renegades doubleheader for the,
both boys. The Detroit boys, the Dirty D Renegades, and as well Envious cleaning up their day. SK have to come back out as well and face a team that is just kind of a powder keg, right? They're sitting right there about middle of the pack. They beat SPLYCE just barely. They've given everyone a good run for their money. So Renegades, just a team that could explode and take a win at any moment.
Well, with that being said, we're going to give everybody a little moment to rest up, to sit aside for a couple minutes, and when we return, it's time for more PPL action.